Avenue, and then we'll take it higher.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank an additional sponsor and additional home to the Game Sports Show, Sportscenter Bar and Grill. Sportscenter Bar and Grill, located on 624 Wellington Street West, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Sportscenter rated top sports bar for the second year in a row. At Sportscenter, enjoy their famous 75-cent wing night along with delicious Molson products on tap, along with a great atmosphere and other great food options available as well. Sportscenter Bar and Grill, the Sioux's best sports bar. Booyah, and it's time for the Game Sports Show. It's yours truly, David McCaig, and we're here live at SportsCenter Bar and Grill. It is October the 17th, 2018, and you're listening to the Game Sports Show on thegamesportshow.podbean.com or on the website, www.thegamesportshow.com, or on the YouTube channel titled Scott Nason, and we thank you for making us a part of your night. And here at SportsCenter Bar and Grill, we have an action-packed show planned as always. We're going to be discussing local football and professional football with our famous In the Pocket segment, along with potentially some roundtable discussion as well, with the NBA season getting tipped off, underway, whatever we want to put it. The Raptors having their home opener against the Cleveland Cavaliers, the LeBron James list Cleveland Cavaliers, and what other topics that may be brought up as well. Justin Hykel will be here tonight, as long will Jamie Antonello be, and we have a special guest with Tom Annett. I still like to call him Mr. Annett, will be coming by as well. And that'll be right after this first break, where myself, Jamie, and Tom will be on the panel here for that part of the show for the opener of the In the Pocket segment, and then we will have to follow the NFL recap from Week 6 and our discussions about the upcoming Week 7 as well before we get into our round table discussion. Now, we're sitting here live at SportsCenter Bar and Grill and SportsCenter, being a part of the Game Sports Show for just about 4 years now. And Sunday game day draws, where you have a chance to win 4 tickets to the Miller Lite Tap Room, a chance to see the Detroit Lions. And with that, they've been giving away tickets here at SportsCenter Bar and Grill. Where Sunday you have a chance to get tickets. You have to be 18 years of age or older. And the Week 11 and Week 12 giveaway will be on the November the 4th, where you have a chance to see the Lions play the Panthers on Sunday, November the 18th, or have a chance to see the Bears on Thursday, November the 22nd. Definitely some exciting times. Make sure you make SportsCenter a part of your football watching Monday, Thursday, and or Sunday. Now, without further ado, I'm going to bring in the fellas that are here beside me at the panel. I got Justin Hykel here to my left, and I got Jamie right in front of me right now. Fellas, I'm going to say hi to you. Justin, you first. How you doing, my friend?
Well, I made it here in the blustery, snowy conditions, but it's nice to be here again, talk some football. It's a couple weeks off, so.
Yep, it has been a couple weeks now for Justin, but he had some touch football tonight. Now you're going to be in the pocket segment and our variety talk as well, so a lot of football taste for you. Jamie, we have a very exciting interview that we're going to have right after this break with your mentor, and someone that I still can't get over the fact of calling him Mr. Annett. I don't know if that's just a habit, but Tom Annett will become by coach with the Korah Colts football, and obviously a big part in the football community from a local perspective especially. But Jamie, before we bring him in, how you doing, my friend?
I'm great, Dave. Looking forward to another show. Tom's waiting in the wings here, and I'm really looking forward to having him on the show and get his perspective on college football. I'll be able to pick his brain. Local football, college, NFL, all that stuff, and with emphasis on local. But, yeah, another great Wednesday here at SportsCenter.
Might even throw him that NCAA question that we were talking about off air as well. I'm kind of surprised I won't be talking too much NFL with him, but don't worry, we have a lot of NFL that we're going to be talking to myself, yourself, Jamie, and Justin as well. In terms of future shows for the Game Sports Show, you can listen to previous editions on the Game Sports Show on the Podbean page that you're most likely on, or the YouTube page, or even the website where you can listen to all previous episodes. We did not have a show this previous Wednesday at the Wicked Sister, as Scott Nason was out of town. Scott Nason, whom is our board operator tonight, so definitely with Scott not being there on Monday, we did not have a show, but we do have a show this upcoming Monday at the Wicked Sister, and that will be October the 22nd, and that will be at 6 p.m. Myself, Scott, Butch, and EJ will be there 6 to 7 live on Eagle 95.1, and 7 to 8 be podcasted on the Podbean page, YouTube page, or the website. This upcoming Thursday, which will be tomorrow, or may even be today by the time this podcast is uploaded, be Thursday, October the 18th, It'll be myself, Justin Hykel, and Brad Coachmill will be putting his presence in a phone interview, hopefully, and we'll be talking about some local hockey and professional hockey and also the Major League Baseball playoffs as well. And myself and Justin are going to be there a little bit earlier, and we're going to be there around 4:30, 4:45 to bring you the Twin Sault's only local, regional, national sports show. And that is what you're listening to right now, the Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national sports show. But next week, when it comes to the Sportscenter show, we will be on agenda, and it will be on time, where we will be here next Wednesday at 9 p.m. So just to mark all that in, so it'll be Thursday tomorrow, will be at Northern Superior Brewing Company at 4:30, myself, Justin, and Brad, and guests. And then on Monday the 22nd, Wicked Sister, following Sportscenter on the 24th. So everything is going with agenda. Now, people are asking about our presence with the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds at Thunderbird games. We will be starting to go there, especially with the Thunderbird games, once that new restaurant gets opened up upstairs. As well, we do a lot of pregame and postgame analysis as well. And also next Friday, the Game Sports Show will be at the City Championship football game. The Korah Colts will be waiting their opponent that they'll find out after tomorrow, Thursday the 18th. The Game Sports Show will bring you that news right on live on location as well. Make sure to keep tabs on the Game Ale that is getting released by the end of this month. Northern Superior Brewing Company is making a delicious beer on behalf of the radio show, The Game Ale. They'll be available to the public in the coming weeks. Tasting, myself, Justin, and some members will be able to participate in some tasting in the very near future to make sure that beer is top-notch, ready to go, and then it will be released for your lips to enjoy and your taste buds to get thrived on and get really, let's say, excited, because you're about to have a nice new beer courtesy of Northern Superior Brewing Company titled The Game Ale. Now, Jamie, Justin, we're going to take a quick break because, like Jamie just said a few moments ago, we have the one and only Tom Annett waiting in the wings and waiting in the pockets to come on out the show here. So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to have a couple sips of these delicious beers that we have, also the food that we have, and the beautiful waitress Alicia has just brought us some pizza as well.
Easy.
That we're going to be enjoying. So don't go anywhere. When we come back, Tom Annett joins us here on The Game Sports Show. The Game Sports Show would like to thank an additional sponsor and additional home to the Game Sports Show, Sportscenter Bar and Grill. Sportscenter Bar and Grill, located on 624 Wellington Street West, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Sportscenter rated top sports bar for the second year in a row. At Sportscenter, enjoy their famous 75-cent wing night along with delicious Molson products on tap, along with a great atmosphere and other great food options available as well. Sportscenter Bar and Grill, the Sioux's best sports bar.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank an additional sponsor and special edition home to the game, Silver Creek Golf Course, located on 104 Bellow Lake Road, Garden River, Ontario. And also shout out thank you to Silver Creek GM Jamie Henderson. Silver Creek Golf Course has many specials to offer for 18 holes, 9 holes, and even Twilight Deal specials. It does not matter what your level of golf game is, it is a must to enjoy the scenic course, memorable experiences that Silver Golf Course offers. Silver Creek also offers a Thursday wing night for you to enjoy food after a stellar time on the course. You can book your tee time by phone or online at golfsilvercreek.com. Silver Creek Golf Course, where all are welcome to play.
Hi, this is Joe Bowen, and you're listening to the Game Sports Show from Sault Ste. Marie.
Welcome back to the Game Sports Show. Yours truly, David McCaig, alongside Jamie Antonello. We're here live at Sportscenter Bar and Grill, and we're bringing in a very special guest, someone who has seen me through the high school days. Hasn't seen me too much since, but I'm sure he's looking at me now, maybe see me a little bit different. He's also been around when Jamie was in high school, obviously with the Sir James Dunn, who is now with the Korah Colts, obviously. Coach Tom Annett. I like to still call him Mr. Annett. How you doing, Mr. Annett?
Doing great, thanks. Great to be here with a couple former students.
We definitely have fun on the show, and we talk a lot of local football. As you know, I know you're a listener of the show, and obviously being close with Jamie with the coaching, he looks at you as his mentor, so he talks very highly about you, and obviously your presence in the football community in Sault Ste. Marie has been very, very noticed, and you've developed a lot of programs that done, and obviously Korah included, where I can recall being in high school, Korah was on the bottom end, is more of the appropriate way to put it when it came to football, but then ever since you've came on board, I know maybe you don't want to take full credit for it, but it's definitely improved since you've came into the helm. So, you've been coaching for a long time. How's everything going with that? And obviously you still have a big love for the game.
Yeah, it's going great, and it's been quite a journey here. I think this is year 8 at Korah, and it took a while to get it going. There was a few rough years there at the start, but we're rolling now, and I can't take much credit at all. I mean, we have great leadership. Mr. Ayako, our principal, is the best. We've had excellent vice principals, excellent coaches we brought on board with our staff, and with Jamie and Marco have done with the junior program is incredible. So tons of people, and most importantly is the kids. We got great student athletes, and I think now the program's gaining momentum. We're getting more kids that maybe were on the fence, basketball players. Now football is really gaining their interest. So, yeah, we're proud of our program, but it takes a village, man. There's a lot of people helping out to get where we are today.
Program's definitely accelerated. Acceleration by Tom Annett, I'm going to call it, Jamie. Now, we're talking with local football with Tom here today. We're talking about Korah. Obviously, the playoffs is obviously underway. You're off this week. The finals would be next week because you guys had a bye to the finals. So, Jamie, I'm going to let you spearhead the local end, talk about some recap with the junior side and with going into seniors and with season coming to an end, which is so unbelievable because blink of an eye, it seems like it was just August, and then all of a sudden I woke up today and it was October and there's snow outside. So, Jamie, I'll let you take it away, my friend, with the local football scene to kick off our In the Pocket segment.
Thanks, Dave. So week 6 wrapped up last week, and on the junior end, White Pines was slated to play St. Mary's, and unfortunately, due to a shortage of players in the junior loop, St. Mary's got a forfeit win there. But Spear Heights took on Korah, my junior Colts there, and we were able to get a 37-7 victory to close up the season, finish 6-0. And in the senior end, with White Pines folding, Korah was already guaranteed a bye to the finals. They were already locked up first place, but they grinded out a last-second pretty dramatic win in bad weather, 16-13 versus Spear Heights. Emotions were running pretty high that game, I'll say that, just from watching. I think spectators will know. But I'm going to just pass over to Tom. I want to talk about that game and looking forward into the playoffs, what you're expecting out of this, either the semifinal this week, curiosity between St. Mary's and Spear Heights, seeing who's going to move on and play you guys in the final, and talk about last week's game.
Yeah, last week's game was really exciting. I mean, I think the fans got their money's worth in that one. It was the game was a meaningless game in terms of the standings for both teams. We had first place locked up. I think they were set in the third place slot. We used some of that to get some traditional non-starters some reps, and some kids really stepped up big time for us. I mean, we had starters in there too mixed in, but really good opportunity for some of our backup guys to get playing time and experience, and they did an excellent job. And probably the most exciting part there is I think we were down a few points there in the fourth quarter, and Tyler Breakin, super athlete, broke a big one there for the lead with under 2 minutes left. So really exciting game. The other question was about the semifinal. I think it's going to be an excellent game. I'm really excited to watch that tomorrow. We've had competitive games with both Spear Heights and St. Mary's, both really good athletes on both those teams, both well coached. So we're excited to watch it and looking forward to the challenge to whoever wins to play them in the finals.
Yeah, absolutely. And that game will be on Thursday night. So if you're listening to this as it's released, that's today, October 18th at 7:30 p.m. at Spear Heights High School. And Tom, I just wanted to ask you again. I mean, as Dave said, right, I look up to you as a mentor, right? You were my coach in high school. Came through.
Please don't tear up.
I'm not going to tear up. It's not quite that. But I mean, I've learned a ton from you. I credit most of what I know. The way I structure practice, what I learned about coaching and different things, a lot of that's a big credit to you. But if you wanted to talk about some of the players this year that you have, maybe some of the graduating guys that are moving on, played, because you've had the opportunity now being there 8 years, right? You've seen all these guys from grade 9 all the way up to their 5th year. So if you wanted to shout out any guys moving forward into the playoffs.
Sure, a lot of stuff there. I'll start with Jamie, and he says I'm his mentor. I couldn't be more proud of a protege, I guess, and what he's done with our program. And to be honest, the student has become the teacher a lot. I'm always bouncing ideas off Jamie constantly. If we're going to do anything new, I always get his feedback because I trust and respect his opinion on football. I don't think anyone works harder than him, and the success he's had with our junior program and with the Cats speaks for itself. In terms of the growth of the program and some players, we've had a lot of great players move through. Instantly when you asked that question, what came to mind was the top 50 all-time players thing we did last year. It was a really special moment for Korah's 50th reunion. We asked a bunch of coaches from the eras to name the top 50 players of all time. So that was special, but I got to name a few from my era there. Some that kind of come to mind. Peter Grev, obviously. So Peter Grev is one of the guys who comes to mind right away. Just an incredible leader, student athlete, multi-sport athlete. So he's a guy that really kind of started this turnaround. He was there when I first came to Korah, and he had kind of a rough go with some injuries in football, but always very resilient and bounced back. So he's a guy I got to mention. Nick Nicoletta. We have his younger brother Mike now in the program. His father and uncle were on that top 50 team along with him. So he was a special player. And there's just so many of them. Sam Ivey, who's playing basketball now at Laurentian. He was a top 50 guy. Jared L'Italian, who was a Walter Lowe Athlete of the Year in the city, played receiver and DB for us. Avery Ciotti, Adrian Torok. I feel bad with questions like this because I know I'm going to leave someone out.
Absolutely.
But and right through the last year, two awesome guys were Devin Segan and Darian Belkowski, two really special athletes. We're sad to see leave this year. So, like I said, tough question. So many guys, and I'll be here all night if I keep going. So I'll leave it at that.
What do you think that brought so much success to the Korah program that really changed it? We know that White Pines, we won't go into too much detail with White Pines. We know that program hasn't been as great as you want it to be. You want to get as many teams as possible in the league, but you turned around along with a lot of help too with Korah, and then also just the football programs with the schools combined. You had Mary's and Basil's become one, right? And then Spear Heights was the Dunn and Boading. So how the transition of that, I know it's kind of backpedaling a little bit from the current local playoff talk, but I want to get your feedback on how you were able to bring forth this success with Korah. What was your outlook? Without giving away too many of your secrets, obviously, what really brought forth that success for Korah? And just get your comments about White Pines, how you feel about that, how that all transitioned this year.
Sure. I think, if you go back to when we first started there, Korah was really struggling that first year, I think, when we got there. And I don't think anyone ever would have thought, based on that situation, well, what if we combine St. Basil and St. Mary's and Sir James Dunn and Boading, to make it even harder. It was an uphill battle, and I think we made steady improvement every year, and that was important, but that made it really hard when those schools combined. But we kept plugging away, and I think what we've done last year and where we're at now, we still got some unfinished business. I think that speaks volumes. Again, I cannot take credit for this. I'm a small piece of the puzzle, but what was responsible for the turnaround, I said this earlier and I'll say it again, the administration we have at our school is extremely supportive. Amazing coaches, and senior and junior, phenomenal athletes, athletic director too, and some other things that I think really helped. I think our strength and conditioning program is second to none in the province. That starts with our fitness classes that we highly encourage our athletes to get into. I think you see now when our players walk around, they're carrying a lot of muscle mass, and I think that's been huge for our program. And we do that throughout the off season and through the summer too. I think we're the only school that actually runs a structured football program, strength training program throughout the off season. So if I had to hammer down something, that along with the fitness course is huge. Another thing we did with changing the culture is, really focusing on. We looked at a lot of what top programs are doing, not just in Canada, but throughout the U.S., and did a lot of reading. Some books really kind of sunk in with me, and part of it was developing a program philosophy, core values, and a credo. And it kind of starts with our team credo, which is tough people win. And our guys see, or for short, we say TPW. And we branded that. The kids see it nonstop. They got to memorize it. They have TPW decals on their helmets. We put it on their shirts. And it's really kind of a mindset that we preach. I know it's a little bit in your face, but it's bigger than football. It's not. I know it has the term win in it, but winning isn't always on the scoreboard. And we try and teach these kids a lot of life lessons through that. With the core values, we get feedback from every kid at the end of the year. We do exit interviews. And a couple years ago, one of the things we asked them is, what value do you think best defines our program, or what value would you like to best define the Korah football program? And we got a lot of feedback, a lot of great responses. And what we did, there's about 15, 16 or so. A lot of them were very similar words, right, like grit, toughness. But we narrowed it down to, I think, maybe 10 or so. And we sent out a Google poll, a survey for them to do. And then we ranked the top 5, I think is what we decided to go with. And they are compete, commitment, teamwork, toughness, and family. So a lot of what we do is when we coach our kids and teach them life lessons are based around those core values, and we're constantly preaching them. Kids got to know them, they got to memorize them. So a lot of it centers around that, and I think that's been, if I had to narrow down two things on top of all the people, it's our strength training program and that real culture shift. Yeah, that culture shift and that focus on those core values in our credo and program philosophy. So.
Yeah, I'll build off that. I mean, I was going to bring it up if you didn't, Tom, but starting with strength and conditioning, I mean, you see it with a lot of these kids. Zach Polentano is the guy who comes to mind, who's dedicated to himself in the weight room, team captain this year, fifth-year guy, and you see it on the field now. Complete difference. There's other guys that are natural strength freaks, Nick Gervaisi, Jacob Jurch. They all work hard. Tyler Breeken, all these guys are really improving in the weight room. And Thomas Tebow, like guys that are at workouts all the time, and that's a huge difference. But the other thing you didn't bring up is the Instagram. Getting the Instagram game. It's big. It's the day and age, right? Kids are all. We pushed it on you a little bit, and Tom has surpassed us, absolutely, and that's a huge thing. Tom's all over. It's at Korah Football on Instagram. If you want to check it out, Tom will be, I'm sure, sharing this interview on there. Absolutely. And you brought up culture. That was one of the biggest things, right? TPW, and I try and get that going in junior as well. Emphasize our core values, the team credo, and I think we're starting to see it now with this being my third year in junior. So basically, all those guys that are playing for the senior team played for me in junior, and I think it's really starting to pay dividends now. I'll pump your tires a little bit more than you have been. I think you're a bigger part of the program shift than you think. But like you said, Mr. Hykel, Sergio, it starts with him, our administration. He's super supportive of athletics, academics, everything in the school. The arts and everything, and he's absolutely fantastic. One of the only principals that comes to most of the games for everything. He does a fantastic job, but shifting gears a little bit, want you to just talk about like maybe your start as a teacher, and I'm going to bring it back to the Dunn days a little bit, back to the start.
Now we're talking. You can fly high, bud.
Yeah, and you started at Cass. And then started in Brampton. I'll let you take over your coaching career and teaching career when you move to the Sioux.
Sure. Fresh out of Teachers College, first got hired at in Brampton at a school called North Park. I didn't really know the scene there in Brampton, but I think I learned about halfway through the season that we were Tier 2. I didn't realize that there was tiers there, but it was a great experience. I got to DC right away. I wasn't the head coach, but maybe associate head coach. We had no C there. Great experience. It was varsity though. There was no junior senior program. We had some phenomenal athletes, but there's a lot of kids that never played either. So anyway, it was a good experience. Moved back to the Sioux the next year and instantly got involved with the SaberCats program, coaching. And I was hired at Cass. That was my in here back to the Algoma District School Board. No football program there, but I coached junior basketball, some track. I was involved with a few things, and that was good. But I was coaching junior football at Sir James Dunn with our good friend Tyler Hankinson. So commuting in there, and that was a really good experience. We had some really successful teams there too. Won a championship there, and with my mentor Bill Paul, who I absolutely have to mention. It was great. He was my coach in high school, and I got to coach with him at the Dunn on those junior teams. And then I think after 2 years of that, 2 years at Cass, I got hired at the Dunn. And my dad taught at the Dunn too. Any of our old listeners, Richard Annett, geography. So it was very eerie when I taught in his classroom, and his old record player was still in there. But it was a great experience too. So taught there, and then my first year there, I ended up being the athletic director and took over the head coaching duties. I believe that was 2007.
Yeah, because I was still in junior.
Yes, 2007. I kind of found out I was the head coach, I think, 3 days into practice. So that caught me off guard, but we had a good year there. It was a valuable experience. I made a lot of mistakes, learned a lot on the go. The next year, we had a really talented group in 2008, and came up just shy and lost a heartbreaker in a semifinal that still kind of haunts me. But it was a good experience. We learned a lot, And I think one good thing of that is we got a lot of kids come back for their 5th year because they felt like they had unfinished business. And I'll still say this is open for debate, but I believe that 2009 Sir James Dunn team, which was the last year of Sir James Dunn, might have been one of the best high school football teams ever in Sault Ste. Marie, and Jamie was a part of that team. We went undefeated and won an OFSA Bowl. And just yes, I was played at the Rogers Center. Beat Winston Churchill from Thunder Bay. So it was a great game, and like I said, so many players on that team that went on to play university football. A lot of 23 players.
23 people went to a training camp.
Oh, unbelievable. 23 people on that one high school team roster. Out of 40 ended up going to a university training camp, and many sticking through and having long careers as well. So I don't think you'll ever see that again. That was a special team, and honestly, that wasn't me. Anyone could have coached that team and won. There's just so much talent, but it was a great experience and one I'll always cherish. And I'd love to get there again and win another one. So after the Dunn, then Korah. When the Dunn closed, I got transferred into Korah, and you already heard that story. So I hope I answered that question properly.
Yeah, absolutely. All right.
You went really good there. I got to say something, though, about the Sir James Dunn team. It's definitely not. Rob Ramsey, there's guys that I'm good friends with. Okay, yeah, there's Rob, Max Sullivan, Billy Guiley, Jesse DiPietro. Oh, my God, just some absolute trucks of its football team. Just ridiculous. And, that was one thing, is that Rob Ramsey is somebody who went over to British Columbia to play, who did very exactly. And, there was a lot of good players your age as well. And remember, one guy being a speedy guy was Jarvis. You can't forget about Jarvis. Aaron Robinson was a great athlete as well. And I believe, and if you can correct me if I'm wrong, Matt Howard, who was a good friend, you had him in senior and junior, correct? I think did you play junior? Didn't play senior, so he played junior. So there's a lot of good athletes that came out of the Dunn. That I couldn't agree more. That I don't know if there's ever going to be. No offense to teams that are going on right now. Okay, so there has. That's just a very good team for sure. Jamie, I'll go to you.
Yeah, you're not going to get much argument out of me about that 2009 Dunn team being very dominant.
I wonder why.
Yeah, I'm a little biased.
2018, would they beat your 2009 team?
It's the same team. We were just a year older, so
that's right.
I'll take 2009 over 8. But going back, I still think about that semifinal loss to Mary's, and I think that was one of the driving forces the next year. And we were getting slowly. You could see it. I was going into grade 12, so there was no option for me to come back. I was coming back 100%, and you saw it slowly as our 5th-year guys decided to dedicate, and the final piece fell in place in August when Michael Campbell, our quarterback, and who's coaching with us now at Korah, decided to come back. And that was a dominant team, and you saw it. A lot of those guys played SaberCats. You saw that success carried through. And one thing I wanted to ask you that we haven't brought up is you and Tyler Hankinson, who's I consider another mentor, along with you, Tom, and you brought up Bill Paul. All these guys were. I was in a special place. I had fantastic coaching. We had fantastic players. The culture was always there, and it's part of the reason why I'm so happy that Korah has got back to that point. And there was never a doubt in my mind that we were going to get to that point. It was just you got to slug through it. It's going to take time. But bringing the spread football. Bringing that to the Sioux. It's interesting, right? And that 2008 year was the first year we really went true spread and dedicated. We weren't no huddle the whole time, but I just wanted to you to talk about that a little bit. That why you and Tyler decided to go that route, and obviously it worked. I'm forever a spread guy now just because of that. I grew up in it, and it's my go-to. It's a lot. No, not the spread. No over-unders. No minuses. None of that. 5 receivers on the field is what we're talking about. So, but I'll pass over to Tom.
Actually know
that. That was an interesting time. We're all football junkies. Jamie, myself, Ty, and I think that was pre-kids for me and Ty, and you had a little more time, and a little more time to research and it was interesting because at the time in Sault Ste. Marie, everyone was kind of at least one tight end, at least 2 running backs, under center, and we just kept looking at the local defenses and kind of what some university teams were doing, and I was fortunate enough to go down and pre-kids again, go down and visit some CIS training camps, and that's kind of when I got an idea of it. Wilfrid Laurier, where I played, really moved to a spread offense, and Steph Patazik's one of the greatest minds in Canadian football, and I was really lucky to have a sit down with him and get that Laurier playbook, and have him go over it with me, and that really kind of generated a lot of the ideas. And me and Ty would look at local defenses and say, no one's seen this yet. How would they defend this? And I think when we actually started doing it consistently and with practicing it, not like a little package we threw in, but this was our offense, it really kind of put people in a bind. A lot of people didn't know how to defend it. And that was 2008, and here we are 10 years later, and it's almost like the spread is the norm now. And we actually kind of reverted to doing some contrarian stuff again, what we do offensively. So I think it was an interesting transition. I think it's a cool story how it happened. And like I said, the game's growing, and a lot of the guys who coached me, I know they didn't like it at first, and this isn't football, but now it just seems like everyone's doing that. So, but yeah, it was very interesting.
Couple more things, Tom, before we let you go. Just going back to the playoffs that are occurring right now between the next game between St. Mary's and Superior. Kind of not going to ask you a core question when it comes to what made you prepare, what kind of stuff you've been doing, but between Mary's and Superior, what can the fans that go to the game or fans, what can they expect from that game? And what do you expect from your end from both teams getting ready to, either team wants to play you in the finals, obviously. So what can the fans, the listeners, and even yourself expect from that game?
So St. Mary's this year, I think what stands out the most with them is first their defensive line. They got an excellent defensive line. It's got to be one of the best in the province for high school defensive lines. 3, I think, of their guys are starters on the SaberCats, and the SaberCats had a very good O-line in that, maybe the best in their club league. So that stands out absolutely. Offensively for St. Mary's, they've got a really special running back in Nick Pagnotta. Grade 11. Yeah, grade 11, number 32. He's electric, and if he gets a seam or an edge, he's gone. So he's exciting to watch. Travis Johnson is last year won the Rocky DePietro Award for top receiver in the league. He's another weapon. And Brendan Mitchell, their quarterback, can beat you with his arm or his legs. He's athletic, so that's a solid team. They do a lot of things well. And Superior Heights, on the other hand, they have very talented receivers. They're a very veteran team, a lot of fifth-year players. I think they're around 13 or 14 or so. And the problem with them, unfortunately, is that they played in very bad weather their last 3 games. So I think that's their really what they can do to excel in games is throw the ball to these veteran receivers, but they haven't had a chance to because just really bad conditions. So we're expecting nice weather, though, tomorrow. Last I checked the forecast, I think it was sunny and 8 degrees. So it'll be interesting to see them finally unleash that passing attack and how St. Mary's is going to respond. Defensively for the Superior Heights Steelhawks, they got 2 really good linebackers. Joe Rosso was the defensive player of the league last year. Excellent player, side to side, very high football IQ. Nick Rusain is another guy who they moved up to kind of a hybrid DN position this year, but he makes a ton of tackles for them as well. And Gabe Spina is their free safety, who's also doing a great job for them. So their defense has always been fast and aggressive and has been pretty solid this whole year. They haven't allowed very many touchdowns. Anyway, I think it's going to be a great game, and if you're a fan, I don't think you're going to find too many places where you're going to get that kind of entertainment for $5. So I highly encourage you to go.
So, transition from local, I said I'd bring this up. We were kind of talking Super Bowl stuff, and then I got recommended by Jamie to stick to NCAA. So I'll stick to NCAA because our board operators, Scott Nason, and part of the show, Butch Davis and EJ Russell, are fanatics when it comes to NCAA football. I sit there and say, go Ducks, because that's all the input I can basically apply. So I actually kind of read that, but I didn't watch the game or anything. So, so I'm going to go over to what NCAA, we'll go on the lighter side. Who do you expect to come out of the NCAA this year? And just kind of some analysis on that end from you. I'll get you some.
Who's going to be in the playoff?
Sure, let's go with that. Who's going to be in the playoff?
It's tough.
Big Ten, right?
Well, I close to the Big Ten. I like the Big Ten. But one of the things about being a football coach, and sometimes this throws people off, is they'll ask me about NFL or NCAA, and they're kind of surprised I don't really know that much because I don't have time to watch it. We're in our season. I watch a lot of football, but I'm watching our team, the teams we're playing. Film, yeah. Don't have time to get into fantasy, so. But I do love it, and when I do get time to sit down and watch, college would be my preference. I can't see anyone beating Alabama this year. They're always awesome on defense, and now they got a quarterback who's airing it out. Air Alabama, I heard on the radio the other day. So Yeah, you're not used to hearing that with Alabama, so I can't see anyone beating them. With the playoff structure, I catch bits and pieces here and there on sports radio, but it looks like Notre Dame, who's undefeated right now, has a relatively easy schedule. I don't want to say easy, but in terms of strength of schedule, it's not super challenging the rest of the way. So, if Notre Dame goes undefeated, they're getting in. It's just too big of a fan base. Big Ten, a lot can happen, a lot of season left. I'm rooting for Michigan. I know they lost Notre Dame. If they win out, I think they got a great shot. The Ohio State game is circled, but they got some other tough games too. So I'm hoping Michigan wins the Big Ten, wins out, and gets in. I'd love to see that. I know a lot of people are hating on Harbaugh lately because they think he underachieved, but I don't think that's fair. I think they're doing great, and it's going to take a bit of time. And then the last entry, it's not a Big Ten team, Pac-12, maybe another 8. Yeah, I don't know. That's Clemson. Oh, LSU. Now that they beat Georgia, yeah. I mean, I don't know what that last spot's going to go to. I can't predict it. That's The dominoes are going to start falling soon, though. There's no way all these undefeated teams are going to stay undefeated. I can guarantee you that much.
That's the beauty of college football, is it goes all the way right down the wire, right till American Thanksgiving. Basically, you gotta wait, and then even still, like a lot of some of the conferences that have conference championship games, you gotta wait for those as well, because you're not making the playoff unless you win your conference championship game. It's the only way to do it. But I'll say this: Mike Pratt will be happy that you're rooting for Michigan. I know I am too, the governor, but. I'm not sure if Dave has any more questions for Tom here, but I just wanted to thank him for coming on and thank him for letting me be a part of the Korah football program. I know when I returned from university, a lot of people were asking me why I decided to go to Korah to help out, and as opposed to Spear Heights, and because really I'm an alumni of the Dun. I didn't have a school. I didn't have a school to go back to, and they're like, "Well, Spear Heights is kind of done." I was like, "Well, I didn't know." Tyler Hankinson was kind of in his last year coaching there, and I said, I'm going to go where my coaches were, where I'm familiar, right? It's the guys that have taught me the most, and just really appreciative for you taking me on as a coach, Tom.
Well, man, I'm glad you came back. So we got, I'll say this, I think Jamie's one of the best coaches in the city, okay, maybe the best, and we're super lucky to have him. What he's done, I said before, the junior program is incredible. As for the show, thank you guys. Anything to promote high school football. I mean, I love to promote the Korah program, obviously, because I'm there. But anything to promote, I think, is good. And I'll always take time to promote our league and especially our team. And the interview, thanks, guys. This is great. I love the memory lane part where you guys.
We had to bring that in. We had to.
Oh, you know what? And that is the best part about coaching. Wins are fun, but my favorite part is seeing old players and talking about. Remember when this happened and that happened, and it's been quite a few years now where I'm getting old and seeing some former players with their families now and starting their careers and being successful. That's the most rewarding part. And I know it sounds cliche but it really is, and you can't explain it till someone who's actually coached that at least a decade-long span, and you start to see that it's a special thing, and that's why I keep doing it.
Your love and passion for the game speaks for itself right there from a true and very fantastic coach and well-known in the community, Tom Annett, and obviously yourself, Jamie. Looking, that's going to be you in about maybe in the future we'll be sitting here one day with the show continuing. Maybe I'll have a son, you'll be interviewing with my son, maybe let's go there. That's speaking of memory lane laughing. But once again, I want to say, Tom, thanks for coming on by. Good luck to Korah and the rest of the way. Definitely good luck to both Superior Heights and St. Mary's as well, and that's going to be a very good game. Get out to the field, watch it. It's better than sitting on your rear ends inside your house. Go watch some exciting football. Like Tom said, $5. You're not going to get much better entertainment for that with some great football. Jamie, some final thoughts before we go to break?
Yeah, just adding on to that. So doubleheader today, if you're listening on the day the podcast comes out, that's Thursday, October 18th. Superior Heights and St. Mary's are playing a doubleheader in the semifinals. Juniors start at 4:45, seniors start at 7:30 at Superior Heights. And looking forward to a good day of football tomorrow. Hopefully the weather holds up, like Coach said. And again, really appreciate it for him coming on.
I still pass the Sir James Dunn and almost shed a tear seeing that school getting teared down, But at the end of the day, it's not there at all. All you see is Algoma University in that whole backyard there, and McCrae hockey rink. And McCaig School. There's that little school that people can't forget about. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to let Tom eat some of he got chicken wrap there from Sportscenter. We're going to have our wings and pizza, Jamie and I. And when we come back, we're hoping that Justin makes it on by. We're still waiting his presence to be graced with us here. If either way, the show will continue to be myself and Jamie talking about week 6 of the National Football League with some recap and reaction. And then later on in the show, we will be talking about week 7 with our predictions with our Pick'em League. Don't forget, you can submit the name of the Pick'em trophy for the winner of our league, and your name can be put on that trophy. Wouldn't that be cool with your name being put on that trophy? It'll be presented to one of the winners here on the panel between Jamie, myself, Justin, Dustin, and Matt. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back here on the Game Sports Show. The Game Sports Show would like to thank an additional sponsor and additional home to the Game Sports Show, Sportscenter Bar and Grill. Sportscenter Bar and Grill, located on 624 Wellington Street West, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Sportscenter rated top sports bar for the 2nd year in a row. At Sportscenter, enjoy their famous 75-cent wing night along with delicious Molson products on tap, along with a great atmosphere and other great food options available as well. Sportscenter Bar and Grill, the Sioux's best sports bar.
Get Wicked Catering from the crew at the Wicked Sister.
We like to think of ourselves as foodies. While our favorite foods are paired with a beer tasting at the Wicked Sister, you can now have the same creative menu for your next catered business luncheon, family get-together, wedding, or holiday party. Our white truffle risotto appeals to your gluten-free and vegetarian guests. Add sautéed shrimp or freshly grilled chicken for a pop of protein. Or let us build you a custom menu to suit your needs. From plated events of 15 to buffets for 200, the Wicked Sister will cater your event with tapas, snacks, cravables, or a full sit-down dinner.
The Wicked Sister, where you'll be treated like family, whether you like it or not.
The Game Sports Show is pleased to shout out a partner, additional home, and sponsor to Northern Superior Brewing Company, located on 50 Pym Street in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Northern Superior Brewing Company having a strong presence locally with many beers to offer. With much involvement in the community of Sault Ste. Marie, Northern has a sport and friendly-like atmosphere within its tap room, and during the summer months, it is a must to visit Pier 55 to enjoy some delicious food, amazing view of the water, and view of the Bush Pulling Museum, right on the cusp of the Hub Trail, and of course, all of that down with a delicious brew from Northern Superior. Northern Superior Brewing Company. It's a northern thing.
Hi, I'm Brendan Brooks, professional hockey player. You're listening to the Game Sports Show.
Welcome back to the Game Sports Show. It's yours truly, David McCaig, alongside Jamie Antonello, and bringing back in Justin Hykel. And apparently Justin Hykel likes to put orange slices on his pizza.
That's fake news, Dave.
That is not fake news. You just said it before we went on air. Or you want to put on my pizza?
Donald Trump and call you horseface.
Wow, we're getting real political with that. Now, fellas, Tom Annett that just came by. What a great interview that was, and talk about the local football, and definitely great to have the Game Sports Show, the Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national sports show, involved with that local scene, especially with Tom, who's a listener of the show, and obviously you're a mentor, Jamie, and definitely some very good and exciting football to still be watched in Sault Ste. Marie, with St. Mary's and Superior High still the battle this week, and then obviously Korah to be in the finals the following week on the Friday. So it's going to be a very exciting time still in the Sioux when it comes to high school football, so get out to enjoy that for sure, and thanks to Tom for spending time to come on by the Game Sports Show here tonight. Now, fellas, we're going to continue in the pocket segment and jump into week 6 of the National Football League, a week that was full of, again, I think, a lot of good football games that were played, and also a lot of high-scoring games. You look at the Jets and Colts. You look at the Chiefs, actually, whom were undefeated going into this week, are no longer undefeated, losing to the Patriots. You have the Dolphins-Bears, a close 28-31 game. Then you have some teams that didn't really put up a lot of points. The Oakland Raiders and the Gruden's KY banana split. I always say that wrong each week, but I like saying it that way. The Ravens shutting out the Titans 21-0. You know, literally, that is insane, the sack total in that game. And you got some games that were probably not really a surprise. I wasn't surprised that the Eagles did as well as they did against the Giants. And you have the Buccaneers and Falcons had a close game. The Browns, unfortunately, losing big 38-14 to the Chargers. And a week in football that really kind of defines a lot when it came to division games. Look at the Steelers and Bengals. The Ravens getting a win against the Titans to stay high up in their division. The Steelers getting that win against the Bengals is a big win for Ben and Brown, and now they're going into their bye week. So, fellas, I just want to get our analysis and our recap on that week 6. I'm going to start with the guy who actually participated in that interview because you were unable to, Justin. Jamie, going over to you right now to talk about week 6.
Yeah, there was a lot going on. I mean, starting with the Thursday nighter, I mean, the Giants are they're struggling right now big time. I mean,
Can you before you even say that? Sorry to interrupt. I like being a cocky asshole at times. What did I say in the summer about the Giants?
I have no idea. Refresh my memory.
I said that they were going to be atrocious this year, and everyone looked at me and disagreed and said I'm crazy for what they said. Last I checked, they're 1-5 right now. Now I don't mean to chirp, but I think that when it comes to the saying of Eli Manning's time might be over, I think that might be a thing. You got OBJ there and Barkley. You got some talent there. I don't know what's going on with the Giants there. I don't know what's going on, but I did say at week 1 that maybe I was wrong about the Giants because I looked at their roster and thin, but I said, got sick of what I said because I've always been a man of my word, Jamie, as you know. But the Giants struggled against the Eagles. But you were saying, sorry.
I don't know. I'm going to step in a little bit on this. I don't want to... I think you just made yourself a pretty big shit sandwich that you're going to have to eat in about 2 months. I don't think the Giants are as bad as you're saying they are. They're 1-5 right now. That still could be a playoff team in that division if they go on a run.
Yes.
And if there's a team that can go on an uncomfortable run and just barely make the playoffs and then be a tyrant with, a passing game that they have now featuring Saquon Barkley, it's the Giants. I don't know. I wouldn't write them off just yet.
I will say that I meant that professionally speaking. I don't mean to run down teams. You got to be professional on the show. But I will say that definitely a team that I think needs to have some changes when it comes to handling the football.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think. I mean, Philly played really well in that Thursday night game. I'll give them that. Like, the Giants are struggling a little bit. I mean, they've had kind of the Odell. He had that big interview come out, all that distraction. Eli has not played very well, but. No, there's none of that. And they're starting to get better. Olivier Vernon, that was his first game back against Philly. He's their best defensive end. He's one of their highest guys in the payroll. You need a couple games to get yourself under it. And like you said, Justin, 8-8 might make the playoffs in that division. 9-7. It's wide open.
Can they go 7-3 though? Jamie, from your end, do you actually think that team can go 7-3?
Anything can happen. I mean, they're going to have to play everybody again. Just looking ahead here real quick. I mean, they play Atlanta on Monday night this week. Atlanta's been a mess. That's a winnable game, 100%. Freeman's on the IR for Atlanta, exactly right. Then they play Washington in New York. I mean, you never know. Divisional games are up in the air. They could easily win all of their divisional games that are remaining. Moving forward, after that, they're on a bye, week 9. Following that, I mean, just kind of rolling down the list here. They play another Monday nighter against San Fran after a bye. Very winnable game against those guys.
Then the Bucks.
Then they play the Bucks again. All right, with Jameis back under center, anything can happen defensively. Moving forward, I mean, you got Philly then another after the Bucks again. Rematch in Philly. You never know.
It's not a third.
Stranger things have happened. You got Chicago week 13.
And that, I think, would be a test.
That's a real test, I think, at that point. That for me is a playoff, whether you make it or not. If you can beat Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago's a make or break game. December's a mess.
As
far
really
as football goes.
The Giants too much with Primo not being here. Either.
No, but it's just they're an interesting topic right now.
Again to follow.
But is Eli Manning? He's won 2 Super Bowls. Okay.
Don't discredit a Manning.
Tennessee.
As soon as you put them in a corner and say that it's all over, they come back and they make it a back-to-back Super Bowls. Was it back-to-back or was it?
No, it was.
They were the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
They were 4 years.
No, the Peyton with the Broncos. Was it back-to-back?
No, there was a year in between.
It was a year in between. But yeah, that's you got some quality play out of him again. It's just
3 straight AFC championships where Broncos.
I mean, maybe Eli doesn't have that same sort of pedigree, but he's got. I mean, he did the Super Bowls a lot quicker, and that's coming from a Peyton Manning fan. So,
yeah.
I don't know. I think the Giants are going to be a fun one to watch going forward. I mean, we got to move ahead a little bit on the schedule here. We kind of got sidetracked on the Thursday night game, but
yeah, no. Jamie, I'll let you continue and kind of stole your thunder by jumping in and just absolutely chirping the Giants, but I meant that professionally. I just think that they're a little bit of a mess right now that needs to get straightened out. But moving forward.
Yeah, you really did. I think 7-3 is not out of the question. It's tough. Don't get me wrong. That is tough sledding. Sorry, you got to really battle to get there, but it's doable. Oakland, I mean, they're kind of a disaster right now a bit. Atlanta and Tampa, I mean, Jameis Winston was the number 1 fantasy quarterback last week, I think, and they still really struggled. Pittsburgh, you got to talk about Antonio Brown. What a play. Perfect play call if you watch the game. I mean, caught a slant, let him go. Right? They're playing a prevent defense. They did it.
I thought he died halfway through that game.
Yeah, it was tough. I mean, you never know with those. We got to talk about Peterman basically handing Houston the game. Comes in for the injured Josh Allen, who's out 2 to 3 weeks. They've now resorted to Anderson under center against the Colts this upcoming week. So
it was a winnable game for the Bills.
Oh, man.
I didn't think Houston played a great game there. Houston's a little off with Deshaun Watson playing with every part of his body broken last week. Like, was it fractured ribs, punctured lung, who knows, half a foot.
Yeah, Houston is not a complete team right now. They're very all over the place. With their, they've invested in Deshaun Watson at this point, right? He's their franchise guy. They've made that pretty clear. And when he's injured and not playing well, that defense is still playing very good. But to be honest, Peterman kind of threw up a couple cupcakes there that Houston took one to the house, and then they picked one off, and they were able to go up by a score. So the defense really won that game. Kind of curious going forward. Chicago-Miami, that was a great game. Goes to overtime. Albert Wilson had a fantastic game. Brock Osweiler, out of nowhere. Tannehill's not out of nowhere, but Tannehill being out, that's pretty good for Miami. That's a big win for them. Chicago's a decent team. They're atop the NFC North right now. So
Adam Gase has a system quarterback that he needs again. Yeah. So Tannehill, I think, might have lost his job there.
You may not be wrong there. Gase really relies on that. The Indy-New York game, the final score makes it look a little bit closer. And Justin, you'll know. Indy put up a couple points there late in the game to kind of close that score, but unfortunately, I'm sure it's nice to see Andrew Luck back and he's playing well, but you don't want him throwing 50 passes a game every single week.
We don't have the personnel to compete. There's some good positive signs coming out. I can't think of his name right now. We're gonna have the rookie defensive player of the year on our team. I'm almost positive of it. He's linebacker, defensive end right now. I can't remember his name. But our lack in wide receivers. Michael Johnson got a touchdown for us. If anyone can tell me who Michael Johnson is, crickets. So moving forward, Ebron's leading the team, and he's catching 60% of his passes. Luck's thrown as many touchdowns to opposing teams almost as he has to his offense. So it's not sustainable. We're not going to win a ton of games, but maybe another good draft pick, and we get a running back this year. We'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, the one game that I really want to stick out here is the Patriots and Chiefs game. I think that's one that's obvious. I think defense was not evident in this game, obviously, based on the offense. It's just throwing. They got Patrick Mahomes, who 352 yards, 4 touchdown passes, and like I said, that absolute stud, Patrick Mahomes. And I know Justin may agree from being an Indianapolis Colts fan, having Tom Brady and the New England Patriots get the win, but Tom Brady threw 340 yards for 1 touchdown. They're rushing. They had, Sony was in there with 106 yards, 24 carries, giving the ball a whole bunch. And, Tom Brady even had a rushing touchdown.
I watched that entire game. That was must-see TV there. And so was the Monday night. Yeah, they were both the primetime games on the weekend this week. Both thumbs up to that. But it was a young stud versus the old wise asshole.
Coming from a Colts fan.
Well, it was a good game.
Tyreek Hill. I can obviously see who his favorite receiver.
That was the TSN turning point of the game. Was that scoring in 12 seconds in the fourth quarter?
Too fast, though.
That's what they did. You don't want to say, well, we shouldn't have scored, but they needed to eat. You needed to keep the clock away from the Patriots, and then the Patriots they beat you. We'll kick it. See you later. See you in the playoffs, and that's what that's going to be.
Exactly.
That might have been the AFC Championship game.
For sure, 100%.
So I'm looking forward to the rematch, but that was a stellar show. Tyreek Hill was unreal. Mahomes was unreal. Kareem Hunt had a hell of a game too. Patriots offense looked good, and Gronkowski was quiet until that pass right at the end of the game. The dagger.
97 yards he got.
That was a hell of a matchup.
No, I agree. My initial thought was they threw that quick touchdown, 75 yards to Tyreek, And I mean, it's not even fair how fast he is, but they scored too quick. He's so small, but just explosiveness. They scored too quick, though. That was my first thought. It was like, there's 3 minutes left. Brady's going to go down. He's going to eat clock. He knows he's been here a million times. And but Mahomes, I mean, the arm talent on Mahomes it's dare I say, like Aaron Rodgers like level. And you're really seeing it on Aaron right now because his knee is not in good shape. And that Monday nighter, I mean, credit to San Fran. I mean, they had a good Marquise Goodwin can fly. Him and Tyreek both are just super explosive athletes. And that Monday night, I mean, San Fran's defense kind of came up a little short there. Aaron Rodgers was able to go with no timeouts, able to go like 80 yards almost. And
could have stayed in games. I mean, they don't have the running back. You don't have their quarterback. And this team's pulled together, and Kyle Shanahan's got them to buy in.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's
that guy knows what he's fucking doing there, Kyle Shanahan, man. And that deserves a swear because that guy is one of the best in the National Football League for a reason.
And he wore an Oakley hat Monday night, and I didn't see any fines come out from that.
Ooh, good point.
That's a good point.
The NFL fines guys for wearing blue laces, and he was just wearing a random hat out of his closet.
Shanahan, he probably has a grandfathered-in clause where he can do whatever the hell he wants.
I remember Frank Gore got fined because he forgot to pull his sock up after a play, like crazy stuff like that. So, no, but that Monday nighter was wild. I mean, a lot of people,
Kyle's young. I know Kyle's young, but I mean he has a clause where he can do what he wants because he's that good. Sorry, keep going.
I mean, yeah, when your dad's a head coach that's won a couple Super Bowls, it helps. But no, I mean, primetime games were good. It was the one thing we haven't talked about is Jacksonville. Like, I mean, before that game, we were talking about Dallas as being a bit of a disaster this year so far. The Zeke got going. I can't believe that they put up 40 on them. I mean, like they got Cole Beasley there. He's making some plays. Rams receiver got traded there. Why can't I remember his name? Somebody help me out. Tavon Austin's there. I mean, he's super explosive guy, but he's kind of never been that. He's been a returner. He's kind of a gadget guy. He's never really been that go-to dude. But I think we got to talk about Jacksonville about being a bit of a disaster after that game.
So this is the first game I've seen. Because the Cowboys are annoyingly on TV too much. True. So you have to overanalyze their games because it's all that's on. I'm assuming this is what it's like to be like a non-Leafs fan trying to watch hockey. But the Cowboys, this is the first time they really let Dak Prescott loose. Like it seemed like he kind of had his say as far as calling some plays and making some stuff happen. Because otherwise, like the last few weeks, they've had no downfield game. And as far as your receivers go, you have sprinters and Cole Beasley. And then you've got a bunch of tight ends that might be Jason Witten if you put them all together.
And you can Zeke.
Yeah. I really think Jacksonville's suffering from a lack of, number one, practicing against Leonard Fournette and then having Leonard Fournette on offense. Like, they just look rough.
Blake Bortles can't shoulder it.
It's that effect of having Leonard on the lineup and you have Yeldon who's running the ball right now, who's done a pretty good job in replacement of Fournette, though. Okay, the guy, I could tell because I have him in fantasy, and he's got me some good points. So I think he's done well. He is, but they're not winning games. And I honestly have always said Blake Bortles wasn't the guy, and I think he might have to consider maybe taking construction that work and cigarettes pretty soon, as I've said. I always think that that's one. Did they say darts or cigarette?
Rip and cigs.
He said rip and cigs. See, I think that's been the thing for the Jags. Yes, they made as far as they did last year, but I think based on solely on an amazing year by Fournette, obviously last year in his rookie season. Then you have the defense of the Jacksonville Jaguars that were top 3, if not the best in the National Football League last year. Can't remember top statistics. I'm sure producer Ghost or Jamie might correct me, but right now that's not being evident. It's not the same team, and maybe Jalen Ramsey's thinking about playing hockey before doing football right now. I really don't know, but the Jacksonville Jaguars are a team that really, I think, can really start by improving that they are at quarterback trouble as well. I honestly don't think Blake Bortles is the guy still. I don't think he is. And once you have a guy who's a better leader than Blake Bortles will be, I don't mean to put the guy down. I mean this respectfully. I've been bashing a lot of things here, and I apologize for the negativity coming. But I do apologize. I don't mean it that way because the guy's in the National Football League, and I am behind the microphone. So obviously he's doing something right. I'm not. But point is, I think that there's better quarterbacks available for Jacksonville, and I think having the guy right at the helm that can really improve the team right off the hop when it comes to that offensive perspective. Their running back or their wide receivers, they're decent. I believe they're in the middle par of the league, if not lower, in terms of talent. So if not way lower, like you just said, Jamie, with just saying lower. So I think when it comes to that team, it's the improvement on offense needed. But then you take the sacrifice of you have a big helm of defense that's very probably expensive to pay for. There's no balance. A team that has balance, in my opinion, is the New England Patriots. Okay, they've always found that balance because they are New England, and I think that's an obvious standpoint. A team that has balance right now is the Kansas City Chiefs. There's a team that has Mahomes, and they're doing very good. You guys may not agree, but they have that both. They're doing very well. The Steelers, they're offensive juggernauts. Their defense.
Offensive balance?
I'm saying offense to defensive balance in comparison. With the Chiefs, you disagree with?
They have no defense.
So you're saying just the offense is what's winning the Chiefs?
Exactly.
That's okay.
Score the pants off you.
Yeah.
Is the same with the Steelers then?
Shiny toys, putting up tons of points.
So same with the Steelers then. Essentially, I know the Steelers D has had some good weeks the last,
They don't have as new as
but they're not as new and shiny. But my whole point of my point, I just say is that
the Steelers right now are.
I mean, they're kind of like Pittsburgh Penguin-y a little bit if we had to do the comparison, but
here's the thing. The thing is that my whole point is that I don't think Blake Bortles is the guy. Never mind the defensive point I said or the offensive points I mentioned. It's Blake Bortles. I feel like once you have a different guy at the helm, I think that will change that team. And Fournette, when he gets healthy, obviously, even though Yeldon's done very well, it's the same presence as what Le'Veon Bell brings. It's different coverage. You know, as a coach, Jamie, you cover different. Your defensive patterns are different when you have different players there. Connor's earned respect for the Steelers. I'm sure Yeldon has earned the same respect, doing pretty well. But I'm sure if you have a guy like Fournette and Bell, it changes the whole landscape of a game.
Now, I don't know if this is an accurate comparison, but Jacksonville kind of screwed Bortles when they gave up his two top receiving threats in the offseason. He lost both of his receivers, and the biggest comparison or best comparison I can see to that is the Dallas Cowboys.
That's very good.
Dak Prescott lost Dez Bryant, and he lost Jason Witten. But he still has Ezekiel Elliott. Blake Bortles doesn't have Leonard Fournette right now. And the Cowboys' defense is sneaky good. The Jags' defense is supposed to blow the pants off you, kill you all the time. And eventually, that was the case last year. Now there's a tape. People know. They know how to beat your team. So you can't, if you don't evolve,
I got one other thing on that.
They're not. It's not all on Bortles, is where I'm getting at. I think the team kind of hosed him, and they underestimated what they had.
No, I agree with you. I mean, I don't think anybody's going to argue for Blake Bortles as being like one of the upper elite quarterbacks for sure. But he's been steady, but he's a guy who really benefits from a run game, as does the defense. I think they're tired, to be honest, a little bit. When you have Fournette, you know that they're going to run the ball 60% of the time. You have to prepare for that. It's much like Dak Prescott's rookie season. That Dallas Cowboy comparison was great. Dak's rookie season, Dak was so good because he threw 70% of the time off play action, threw quick game. Dez was still doing a little bit. I mean, teams kind of underestimated Zeke that year too a little bit. And I mean, like you said, they've seen film on it now. Jalen Ramsey has struggled a little bit at times. I think it's not so much like the big hype thing, but I think the D-line hasn't really been able to get after the passer as much because they've been down in games. That D-line is very good, don't get me wrong, and they have arguably two of the best corners in the league, and their linebacking core is very good, but when you're down in games, you're tired all the time, teams have watched a ton of tape on you, it hurts you. It's a bit of a hangover from last year they're struggling from.
The coaching staff kind of ran off the hype train, and now that that's ran out, they don't really know where to go.
Fellas, moving on, one game that I would really like to talk about, especially with one player, Todd Gurley. The Rams and with the Broncos. This is, I think, Gurley had 208 yards in the game with 2 touchdowns, averaging 7.4 yards a carry, 28 carries in that game. All right, that is fucking insane. I'm sorry, that's the word I want to use. This guy is absolute beast. Yes, and in the snow in the Mile High in Denver. So, obviously, Todd Gurley is for real. Okay, he's obviously for real. The Broncos, though, I'm going to give them a little bit of credit, even though they couldn't really shut down the power of the running game, but it was a battle. I actually think Denver, on the defensive end of the football, had a decent football game because I know Gurley ran them into the ground, but I think they really did a good job holding off the receivers despite Woods got 107 yards in reception. But you have a guy who's an absolute monster like Gurley is running 200 yards. That's hard to stop. But Case Keenum, 322 yards and 2 touchdowns, had a great game as well, right? And then you had Goff, who had 201 yards with no touchdowns. Obviously, the run game is what was used, and that snow-like atmosphere is what Goff really wanted to go instead of going to the air so as much. But Jamie, I'm going to get your reaction on Gurley's performances and just this game in general. How's a hard-fought battle between the Rams and Broncos?
Yeah, I mean, Denver has one of the best home field advantages in all football. I mean, that elevation helps a lot. It's a lot more than you think, right? You don't see it on TV, and it may look like beautiful weather, but when you're up that high, I mean, it makes a difference on guys that aren't used to playing there. Not a lot of fat guy touchdowns there. Those guys are not in great shape. But I mean, Gurley's a stud. He's the number 1 back in the league right now. I don't think anybody can touch that or argue that right now, just based on the way that Le'Veon hasn't played and David Johnson's been struggling. Those were the top 3 going into the year. I mean, you could probably throw Alvin Kamara as one of those next guys just based on fantasy and whatever and performance, but he's dominant. Big loss for LA is Cooper Kupp if he can't play this week. I mean, he's got an MCL sprain. I mean, he was kind of surprised he came back in that game after seeing the injury, and it was wild. I think he was just running off adrenaline big time. You're talking about Aaron Rodgers on Monday night versus Green Bay, that same kind of deal. But I'm going to argue you a little bit there, saying Case Keenum had a really good game. If you watched his incompletions, they were not even close. He had a I've never seen a team cheer for their backup quarterback to come in and take a knee to end the first half. Denver was losing their mind when Chad Kelly came in with 8 seconds left to take a knee. And, I mean, Case was he was getting tested for injury, so they had to just throw him in to end the half. But, I mean, that's not really a great sign. I don't think there's controversy yet. No. I think Case is kind of steady, but I'm going to pass over to Justin here. I know he's got some thoughts on this.
I mean, there was an interesting episode, just a soundbite, I guess, from the coach at the end of the game there where he said he had Case on a short leash, and he told him if he didn't move the ball in his first series, the other guy was going in. So when you sign a big contract, and in the NFL, a big contract doesn't mean shit. You could be gone the next day. So that maybe that was maybe a little bit of a motivating factor to get back in there, or maybe his brains just got scrambled just enough to make him play a little better. I don't know, but that was just a battle of 2 bend it don't break defenses. Yes. I mean, like, for Gurley to have 200 yards and for them to only have 23 points, that says something. Like, if you look at LA's offensive stats and don't look at the touchdowns or the score, you'd think that LA won the game like 45-0. Yes. And like that, it was fascinating to watch that. Like, that was 2 defenses at work the entire time. Like, Von Miller had a game. Bradley Chubb. He had a really good game. And like, LA's defensive line was ridiculous. Like, the Broncos' short passing game is what won them that game.
Emmanuel Sanders made
that's. I don't know. That was a goodie. And I mean, like, Demaryius Thomas had a couple good plays too, but Emmanuel Sanders is having a year. He makes Case Keenum look good. Like, Case Keenum's got to be buying him steaks for sure.
He's that Stephon Diggs it's kind of that same thing, right? You have Sanders and Thomas. Last year you had Thielen and Diggs, and he's that similar player to Diggs, right? You can make a guy miss in space quick. And whereas, like, Thielen's that bigger target, he's kind of more reliable a little bit sometimes. Although Sanders has been super reliable. And I think they're kind of benefiting, because Thomas still draws that number 1 receiver. So if they have a shutdown corner, he's likely going to him. Although if you look at his stats, you can't ignore him. Exactly. He's too big a target. He's too good still. He's even though he's a little older, he's still got some tread on the tires, as they say. But I think we beat to death last week. I think we gotta we gotta talk about this week moving forward, and we'll start getting our predictions going in here.
And before we do that, Jamie, we'll take a break to hear from our sponsors. We're going to jump in and take a little sip of some delicious beer on the Molson side of beer. There's different beers at the table here today. And don't forget about the beer launch for the Game Sports Show as well, the Game Ale that will be launched by the end of this month as well. And that's going to be some enjoyable beer, the Game Ale for sure. But we are enjoying some Molson products here as well. Good difference in beers that we taste each week, Justin and I and Jamie. But fellas, we're going to take a quick break. As I mentioned, when we come back, it is time, as Jamie said, to move on to discuss about the Week 7, and we even have a little bit of roundtable talk about a few topics to talk about there when it comes to Ricky Williams and when it comes to the NBA season opener as well. So don't go anywhere. You're listening to the Twin Sault's only regional and national local, regional, national sports show. Wow, easy for me to say, Justin. Local, regional, and national sports show. More in the pocket. Coming right back. The Game Sports Show would like to thank an additional sponsor and additional home to the Game Sports Show, Sportscenter Bar and Grill. Sportscenter Bar and Grill, located on 624 Wellington Street West, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Sportscenter rated top sports bar for the second year in a row. At Sportscenter, enjoy their famous 75-cent wing night along with delicious Molson products on tap, along with a great atmosphere and other great food options available as well. SportsCenter Bar and Grill, the Sioux's best sports bar. The Game Sports Show would like to thank a list of additional sponsors. North Shore Sports and Auto, new location located on 647 McDonald Avenue, Sault Ste. Marie. A family-owned and operated business with doing business in Sault Ste. Marie for over 10 years. Loads of products available for your enjoyment for all seasons. North Shore Sports and Auto, we understand the importance of quality service and products, and we work hard to ensure that all customers have a positive experience before and after each and every sale. North Shore Sports and Auto, meeting all of your new and pre-owned equipment needs. Special thanks to Salon. The Salon, located on 589 2nd Line East, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Owned and operated by Mike Cuglietta. Book your appointment today at 705-941-9191 or via online at https://thesalonsioux.as.me-. The Salon, making the Sioux beautiful, one haircut at a time. As well as a shout out to the Superior Pro Shop. The Superior Pro Shop, located inside the Community First Credit Union Superior Arena on 285 Northern Avenue East, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Owned and operated by Jeremy Paquin and ran by Larry Monroe. Superior Pro Shop, for over 40 years, meet all of your skate sharpening, skate repair, and hockey needs. Also to Discover the Canvas. Discover the Canvas, located on 317 Wellington Street West, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. A beautiful new renovated building owned and operated by expert artist and Sioux native Katrina Thibodeau. Katrina taking her talents of the ink in Sault Ste. Marie and truly creating the best and most realistic art locally. Call Katrina today at 705-450-8099 or email her at discoverthecanvas@gmail.com to book your tattoo or consultation today.
Hi, it's Craig Hartsburg, former NHL player and NHL coach. Welcome to the Game Sports Show.
Welcome back to the Game Sports Show. Yours truly, David McCaig, alongside Jamie Antonello and Justin Hykel here live from SportsCenter Bar and Grill. You're listening to the Game Sports Show on thegamesportshow.podbean.com, the website, thegamesportshow.com, or on the YouTube channel titled Scott Nason, the Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national sports talk. And we're going to continue our In the Pocket segment with Week 7 discussion in terms of some games that we're going to like, games of the week, and also our predictions. And then before we conclude tonight's show, we're going to have a little roundtable discussion about two topics, that being the NBA season that just got underway, and a little stance from Ricky Williams from today being a pretty big day in Canada in terms of something being legalized, and people that are over stateside understand how this goes, especially if you're from Denver, and how great of an asset it could be to legalize marijuana, as that was legalized in Canada today. Pretty big step forward, I think, for our country. Not that I am supporting that I do marijuana, but I think it's a big stance going forward. And Ricky Williams brings out an interesting fact about the National Football League with this as well. So we're going to talk about that before we conclude tonight's show. Now, fellas, Week 7, okay, for the National Football League, we're going to go around the table. Okay, it's going to be the same thing, and we're going to, in just a few moments, and choose our picks. Then after we choose our picks, we're going to talk about some games that interest us, and then we maybe if we can chime in and say which game that we think is the game of the week for the NFL this week. Now, going around, we're going to start right from the top. We're going to recap last week quickly, the results that we have for last week, and we're going to tell listeners we apologize for this. Between Dustin, Justin, and Matt Primo didn't get his picks in, but he does have his picks screenshotted. He just didn't get them sent in on the show on time, so we're going to have his results for next week. Dustin and Justin, we have to recap previous weeks. There's some discrepancy in terms of the record that we have to settle for, so we weren't able to release it. Ties and whatnot, a lot of things that were kind of miscalculated from certain ends, so we will not be able to release their records. But going into this week, Jamie and I Dave McCaig were in second place. I was right behind Jamie Antonello. And this week, just to give a quick recap going to week 6, Jamie finished the week 10-5. Yours truly finished the week 10-5. Primo remains unknown. Dustin finished the week 10-5 because he did send his picks in on time. And Justin finished the week 9-6. Overall record that we do have down for Jamie and myself is Jamie is 56-35. And yours truly is 54-37. Pretty intense. Now, if anyone's wondering why we're keeping track, well, a couple reasons. A, we're a sports show, and we like to keep in just to give our listeners a little bit of trust when it comes to choosing us when you get down to the nitty-gritty about choosing your Pro Line tickets, potentially. Not that we support betting, or do we? And we do. Okay. But basically because we have a trophy that we're trying to win, a little bragging rights trophy. Okay, the Pick'em trophy that we're going to have made for us, and that the listeners can choose the name of and maybe have their name on the trophy that we're going to get at the end of the year. Just a little miniature trophy to have for bragging rights, and we're making an annual thing to see who gets the win. And right now, Jamie is in the lead, going 2 ahead of yours truly right now, going into a pivotal Week 7 set of matchups. Now, right now, we're going to have Jamie, myself, and Justin pick the games that we think are going to win, and then Dustin and Matt are going to send their picks in as well. And the listeners, you can send in your picks if you feel as well, and maybe if you do participate and beat one of us, you might get a chance to win a prize courtesy of Sportscenter Bar and Grill. Now, fellas, we're going to go around the table and get our predictions for this week in the National Football League. And we're going to start with the Broncos and the Cardinals. Justin, I'm going to go to you first, Jamie, then back to myself to conclude before we continue back around.
I'm taking the Broncos.
No reason, just a straight answer. Broncos. Jamie.
Yeah, I'm going to go Broncos as well. I mean, I think Arizona's been playing half decent, but hopefully, like we talked about, that QB controversy, I hope Case Keenum lights a bit of a fire. And Emmanuel Sanders, man, he's been electric, and I think that defense will get a couple takeaways.
Believe it or not, I actually believe in Case Keenum. I feel like it's a good fit there in Denver for him. I think he is going to bounce back. So yours truly is going with the Broncos as well. Quick sweep of the Broncos there. Very quick and dirty there. Titans and Chargers. Very interesting matchup here that I actually feel between the Titans and Chargers. Justin, I'm going to go to you first. The game's an early one. Sunday at 9:30. Justin.
I mean, it's kind of a crapshoot, but I'm going to take the Titans only based on the travel distance. Oakland didn't fare too well overseas this week, and I don't think the Chargers with the travel distance are going to fare any better.
Jamie?
Yeah, that's a good point. Traditionally, I mean, the London games have been really low scoring. I'm going to bet on Melvin Gordon, though. I think he's been steady all year. I'm going to go with LA.
I'm going to be the difference maker in terms of balancing out, because there's no ties on this show really when it comes to it. Because you have 5 of us, 3 of us, unless there's 2 of us, Jamie, or last week there was ties of picking. But I'm going to go with the Titans. For a couple reasons. Travel distance is a very good point. Believe it or not, that's something I had in mind. And also because Davis is on my fantasy team this week, I need him to have a great week. So I'm going to go with that one. That's straight up biased decision there, because it's also a crapshoot, like Justin said. Panthers, Eagles. Justin.
Ooh, Panthers-Eagles. I'm going to take Philly only because it's in Philly.
Yeah. Jamie.
This is a bit of a toss-up. I think it's kind of against my gut, sort of, but I'm going to go Carolina. I just think Philly's going to leave the door open, and I think Carolina's still going to be hurting from that Washington loss.
Justin, you and I better get our first string games right, because I'm going with the Eagles. I'm going with the Eagles. I just feel like big win against the Giants. That offense had a great week last week for the Eagles, and I think that going forward they're going to continue this momentum, especially being at home in Philadelphia. In an arena that has a prison. It used to have a prison. But I know it's just a random topic. I just want to bring that up on the table. And a jail cell, because of people. Okay, it's a jail cell, but I'm going with that just because I just love that atmosphere in Philadelphia, Rocky Balboa style. Now, Jets and Vikings. I almost said Jets and Jets, but the Vikings play the Jets in New York. Justin, you.
I mean, this game I think really hinges on if Dalvin Cook plays or not. Because Minnesota looks terrible without a running game. They can score, but the Jets can play with a clock game too. I mean, I watched the Jets-Colts game, and I'm not saying the Colts are comparable to the Vikings. I'm just saying the Jets have relatively good clock management. And in a game where, I mean, the Vikings score fast because they throw 50 yards at a time. if the Jets can, eat the clock up and keep the Vikings D on the field.
Sounds like you're going Jets.
I am going Jets.
Sam Darnold and the Jets. Jamie.
Yeah, I've been kind of back and forth on this game as well. I think, I'm kind of going against my gut. I'm going to go Jets. I thought Minnesota initially, but I think I'm going to go New York, just watching the game versus Indy. And, the fact that the Minnesota defense is just on the field for a long time every game. I'm going New York.
Balance the scale of justice here and just say Vikings. That's all. I like the Vikings in this game. I think they're going to have a good game, and I think that Cousins is going to beat the Jets by 2 touchdowns or more in this game. That's my bold prediction of the week. Bills, Colts, as I kick one of our extra microphones here on the Game Sports Show. Bills, Colts, Justin. Do I even ask you?
I mean, it doesn't matter who the Colts are playing. I'm picking the Colts.
Will you ever go against the Colts? It's like I'll never go against the Steelers, actually, so I shouldn't ask you that.
Not a chance.
Jamie?
I'm going Colts here. I would have been betting on this game if Peterman was still playing, but it's Anderson now. But I still think the Colts are going to win.
You'd rather Anderson over Peterman, 100%?
As a Colts fan, no. As a Buffalo fan, yeah.
If you have LaShawn McCoy in fantasy this week, I would probably start him.
I have him. Very excited. I'm very excited about this week. Get back into the upper threshold of Sportscenter Special League. Couple wins, big trade today. Anyways, moving forward, relevance here because we veered off of the Bills Colts talk. Bears and Patriots. This is honestly has my debate for game of the week. Not gonna lie, it's up there for me. There's another game that I'm really counting as a game of the week, and no, it's not the Falcons and Giants. That's not my game of the week. But jokes aside, Bears and Patriots. Wow, the Bears. Sorry, Chicago fans. The Bears or the Patriots, Justin?
I'm taking the Bears because I don't want to say that I'm taking the Patriots.
Jamie.
That's great. I'm gonna go Pats. I think this is gonna be a good game, though. I agree. It's primed for it. I mean, this is a 1:00 matchup. Hopefully, this is the one that I get on TV. But I'm gonna go Pats.
First one that Jamie and I have agreed on when it came to a split, so I'm going to go with the Patriots here as well. And keep an eye, though, on Bears receiver Gabriel. That's my receiver to watch for the week. I'm between yes, I couldn't agree with more with Cohen, but between Luck and Gabriel, most odds in fantasy this week. So I'm going to agree with the experts when it comes to that. Browns and Buccaneers. Believe it or not, I'm very excited about this game. Very excited. I'm kind of on. I think the Browns are going to back in the win column there. But before I give my answer, I can't do that because I'm supposed to go last. But I kind of spoiled it there. Justin,
I'm taking the Browns. The Bucs defense is brutal. I mean, their offense is pretty good, but so is the Browns offense. This is probably going to be like a 33-35 game, but I'm taking the Browns.
It's going to be a big week when it comes, I think, to someone named Mike Evans is going to have a big week for the Bucs. But Jamie, your pick before mine.
Yeah, I think we're unanimous on this. I'm going Browns as well. I think Baker's going to have a decent game, and Tampa's defense has been suspect at best.
I'm going Buccaneers.
Way to change your tune.
No, I wanted to get different emotion. I was on the bandwagon with the Browns, but I'm changing it up. I'm going to go with the Buccaneers here, being at home. And I think that Mike Evans, he's at a bounce-back week and needs to. Now the Browns are a very good, I think, an improved, football team. And, yeah, I kind of gave a little spoiler that I was leaning towards the Browns, but I wasn't really from the start. I think, why is this?
Because if the Browns win, they go into the week next week with the Steelers tied at 3-3-1. Well, the Steelers, however, the Steelers game shakes out this. Or are they on a bye this week?
They're on a bye week.
So they're on a bye this week. So they would be. If the Browns win this week, they're tied going into next week.
No comment. No comment. If I give it away at the beginning, we're thinking it was going to pick the Browns, right? But no, I'm going the Buccaneers. I was thinking about it, but I quick decision. Didn't want that. Texans, Jags, Hykel. This is actually a tough pick, actually. Sorry. No? You don't think so? I think it is.
I think the Jags are going to come out swinging after that Dallas game. And I just don't think the Texans have it to keep up. I'm hoping that's how it goes, but I could be wrong. I'm taking the Jags.
Jamie?
Yeah, I'm the opposite. I'm going to go Houston. I actually don't think this game's going to be close. The difference maker for me is if Fournette plays. Yeah. He's kind of day-to-day right now, so he's day-to-day, but it's doubtful. But you never know with injury reports. Like, exactly. We're all day-to-day. We wake up in the morning, I'm not going to work, and a half hour later, I better go.
Your running back is as thin as your hairline, Justin, as you would say.
That's the Leafs goaltending depth right now, Dave.
So I'm going Houston, but if Fournette plays, that makes I wouldn't be surprised if Jacksonville wins if Fournette plays, but that's the difference maker for me.
So Jamie Texans, Kager is going with the Jacksons. I'm butchering names. I love it. No, I can't. The Texans as well. I agree more. Yeah, you know what? I didn't even think of that. One day I might surprise everyone and take a tie if I'm like clinch first place, or should I say when I clinch first place in this league. Lions, Dolphins. Justin, that is a very interesting game as well. Very fascinating.
Yeah. The Lions are coming off a bye week, so I want to give them the benefit of the doubt and take the Lions, but I think this is going to be a shootout.
They're not going to be a fart on the radar, as Jamie would say.
No, this would be a fart that takes up the whole radar if it is, that's for sure. But both teams got receivers, both teams got a question mark at running back, both teams got a question mark on defense. So it's going to be entertaining, and I have a feeling that Lions fans are going to be crying at the end of it.
So you're going with the Dolphins?
I'm taking the Dolphins.
Jamie?
I'm going to agree with you. I'm going Dolphins as well. I just think, like we talked about, Brock Osweiler is that system guy for Adam Gase. I think he's going to get it done. And I think it actually benefits Miami being in a shootout because I think Kenyon Drake's a better back, but they're just not playing him as much. So when they're forced to throw or that game's working, he's in more, and they're better. He's able to make guys miss in space, and Albert Wilson, they got some pieces there, man. And Brock Osweiler, I mean, who knows if he can put together back-to-back great games? But it's kind of open for it, man. I'm pretty surprised.
Man's got to eat.
You know what? I've been thinking as this pick has been going on, and I've been picking the Dolphins, one of the most consistent teams I picked all year, but I'm going Lions. I'm going to give the Michigan listeners some excitement to hear me say that. I think that having the bye week is going to help them, to be honest, that week of rest. I think Stafford's going to come out slinging with that arm, so I'm going to go Lions in a very tight game, though. Very tight game. This is the one. Definitely. Saints, Ravens. Justin.
I'm taking the Ravens. They've
brutal, for fuck's sakes.
What? The Saints defense, I don't think holds a candle to the Ravens defense right now. Like, the Ravens defense has been playing lights out the last couple weeks.
They need to lose.
And as much as you want to criticize Flacco, he can manage a game. He's annoying. Offensively, he's annoying. Fantasy-wise, he's annoying. If you're a coach that wants to win a Super Bowl and you have a really good defense, Flacco will do it for you.
Besides Super Bowls, would you rather have Cousins or Flacco?
I would take Flacco because he's been there.
Jamie?
I'm going to go New Orleans. I think I don't think this is going to be a blowout by any means. I mean, it's in Baltimore. It's a 4 o'clock game. New Orleans coming off the bye. I mean, so far this year, teams coming off the bye haven't done that great, so it's kind of tough to tell. And Baltimore's a pain in the butt to deal with, man, because they play Lamar Jackson a lot at QB, and they run with him.
The Browns been getting that ball.
Yeah,
Is it Jalen?
John Brown. He's a receiver, yeah. And Alex Collins, the running back, I mean, he's been playing very well. The Irish dancer there. But, I mean, I think Drew Brees is a different animal. And there's no way Baltimore gets 11 sacks again. I mean, that was a dominant game against Tennessee last week. But
so if you had them in fantasy, you were loving it.
It was very nice. I picked them up in one of my leagues. It was great.
What points was that?
21. It was great.
Fantastic.
Yeah, they had a shutout and 11 sacks. That's all they did. 21 points. But I'm going New Orleans.
I don't need to echo more of that. I'm going with New Orleans as well in that game for a lot of reasons there. And Justin, you know one of them for sure. Cowboys, Redskins. Justin.
See, I think this might be a goodie too.
I do too, yeah.
But I'm kind of buying into the Cowboys right now. I'm taking the Cowboys.
Another one's very hard to type up which one's our pick's going to be. I'm having on the fence. But Jamie.
Yeah, I think this is going to be very curious. If Dallas lets Dak eat again like they did last week, I think they win. Because Alex Smith is usually good for a couple bad mistakes, and Dallas is kind of a defense that they're sneaky good, like we've talked about. So I'm going to go Dallas, but it's a close game, division game. Anything can happen. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes either way, but I'm going to go Cowboys.
Fellas, I couldn't agree more. I think the Cowboys showed some good offense last week. I think they have a pretty good week. I'm going to go with the Cowboys for a sweep. Niners and Rams. I almost think this is going to be a clear sweep, so I almost don't even really want to go around the table. But maybe someone is going to be bold.
No, I'm taking the Rams.
Jamie?
Yeah, I'm going Rams as well.
How much is... I'm going with the Rams as well. But how many yards does Gurley run this game? Can we add that for a little pick?
Less than last week.
Oh, actually, I don't know. I don't even know.
Under 200.
There it is.
Over 125?
That's a toughie. Like
I think he's gonna be like 150, 175 all purpose. But it's in San Fran, so it's good weather again. I mean, as long as it's not raining. So it's a short commute for them. I don't think that's going to make a difference. I think without Cooper Kupp, that hurts if he doesn't play, which it looks like he's not. But they still have a million weapons, and you can throw Gurley out of the backfield. It was a different game last week versus Denver. I think I'm going LA in case you can't tell. But I think what would we say? Oh, I'm going to go like 150, 175. But I think he's going to rush for around 100 and then top it up with receiving.
183 to be exact. 183 yards with 2 touchdowns. That's my prediction for next week for Gurley. Exactly. People to take note of that I said that first. A couple more games, fellas, because we still have more to talk about here on tonight's show. Bengals Chiefs. Sunday night game. Very good game, actually. I think it's going to be. Justin.
Ooh. That's a tricky.
It is.
The Chiefs are another primetime game, eh?
Back-to-back Sunday nighters.
I want to say Mahomes learns from last week, and the Chiefs take this one.
Final answer?
Chiefs.
Jamie.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. I'm going Chiefs. I mean, I think Cincy's a decent team, but Kansas City's a different animal on offense. Yeah. And I think if they can get, I think if it's not a blowout, which I don't think it's going to be.
Cincy plays shitty prime.
But that's the thing, though, right? Like, Cincy's never good when they play Thursday, Sunday, or Monday night. For whatever reason, they always struggle unless it's a playoffs and then they're playing the Steelers. That's the only time.
It's because Andy Dalton's a weird morning person. That's why.
Calling him out. Red Rifle getting called out right now. I'm going KC.
I'm going to go with Kansas City as well. Another sweep on the board for that one. Giants, Falcons. I think this is one of the tougher decisions this week. I'm not going to lie to you. This is one of the tougher decisions. Hykel.
Based on our previous 15-minute rant there, I'm taking the Giants.
Jamie?
See, I was on Justin's side hard in that rant too. I have absolutely no idea. I'm literally going with Atlanta because it's in Atlanta. I'm that close on it. I think Saquon's gross. I think he's still going to have a massive game. But I think, and even without Freeman, he's on the IR. I still think that Matt Ryan has too many weapons. I think the Giants' secondary is still a little suspect. I still think it's going to be close. I think Olivier Vernon actually has a good game. Their pass rush gets to Ryan a little bit. But I think it's close, and Atlanta squeaks it out.
Atlanta gets the win. Ridley substitutes well for Freeman. And also, I will say right now, it's Colt. Yeah, Ridley's in the game too. Yeah, as well, he'll get thrown the ball up. But Colt, I think that's going to be the guy the Falcons are going to use a lot in that game. Coleman, obviously, be the guy giving the ball up. But I think Eli, my big prediction, is going to be throwing 3 interceptions.
You're going Falcons.
I'm going 100% Falcons. That's one of the easy decisions. And Dane Hancho's home this weekend for a little visit for a couple days, and he's home Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and potentially Tuesday before he goes home for a month. People who don't know who Dane Hancho is, he's one of the members on our Thursday show. He's been on the Wednesday show, but he's been in Red Lake since March. He's a big Falcons guy. 28-3 is stuck in his brain forever, poor guy. But he'll be back in November full time, so he'll be on the show a lot more. But he's been listening closely, especially with our picks, and he doesn't like the hatred towards the Falcons. So I'm going to give the Falcons a little bit of love this week. That's definitely going to be the week. I think today is the Falcons improved to 3-4 after this week.
In perspective, the Falcons have the same record as the Colts.
True. Well, yeah. The Browns have a better record than the Falcons do.
Yeah,
By a tie. See this? Okay, blah, 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 blah. Anyways, fellas, now the thing I want to move on to before we go to our two topics and conclude tonight's show is pick your game of the week. Just quickly a little point, and then we're going to move on to our final two topics outside the In the Pocket segment.
I mean, there's like half the schedule that could be a game of the week this week, but I'm taking that Kansas City Bengals game. That's
Jamie.
I know. I've been looking up and down the list here. I mean, I'm kind of torn. I think I'm going to go New England, Chicago. I mean, I think there's going to be a lot of points scored in that game. Hopefully Mitch Trubisky comes to play. And New England's secondary, I mean, unfortunately, like, they have some really good players that have been there good for a long time. They're getting old, though. It's tough, man. Like, and Chung's been in and out of the lineup, and that's a big guy for them in the back end. I think, yeah, New England, Chicago. That's it's the 1 o'clock game. It's one of the must-watch ones for sure.
Jamie took the words out of my mouth exactly. I'm going to go with the Bears and Patriots. You want me to pick a different one? Okay, you know what? I do say the Bears and Patriots. That's the one I wanted. But to move on from that, I'm going to go Eagles-Panthers. That was the other one. The Eagles-Panthers is the other game of the week. And I kind of have my eye on... I did have my eye on, actually, the Saints and Ravens game, to be honest. I think it's going to be a decent, exciting game with the Cowboys and Skins, but I got to go with the Eagles and Panthers as well because of just I think the Eagles are coming back from a good week. They're trying to get back into climbing back to redeem some of the early losses in the season, and I think they're going to have a good game against Carolina. A very exciting game to watch on Sunday between them. And fantasy news and tips from Dave. I haven't won a fantasy league. I finished third last and second last year, so you can take these picks with extreme caution if you'd like. But Andrew Luck is an obvious pickup this week, I think, in fantasy. And as I said from the top, Gabriel from the Bears, are the ads that I think this week as well in fantasy football.
I can speak from experience here that I can see your Fleeners as general managed by me with Andrew Luck had previously won back-to-back championships. So
I am going to be back in the top threshold of the Sportscenter League by the end of this week after an abysmal start in fantasy. I don't play Le'Veon Falcon yet soon, though, but Le'Veon. It does have the M on it. Okay, good. That's good then. But moving on, fellas, we're going to conclude our In the Pocket segment. We've had Tom Annett come on from a local football perspective. We talked NFL Week 6 and 7, recap from last week, our predictions from both weeks, and results. We have two more topics we're going to discuss, and we're going to jump right into talk about Ricky Williams first because it just makes sense and ties into a roundtable discussion. We're going to have two topics here tonight to talk about just quickly, under 10 minutes for sure, with Ricky Williams taking a stand in terms of the legalization for marijuana in Canada. If you live in Canada, didn't know this was the day, well, surprise, today has been the day that marijuana has been stated as legal in Canada. You know, someone from Winnipeg had a $692 fine yesterday, right after midnight already. The first ticket was issued with marijuana while driving, possession. So, you know, there's, and having it while driving. So that's still under the influence. Anyone who's going to be doing marijuana, yes, it's legal, but do not abuse it. It's great that it's finally been deemed as legal as it should have been all along. It's going to make the government a lot of money as well and hopefully help our economy like it did with Denver in the United States. However, Ricky Williams brought up a fun fact here. And Jamie, I'm going to go to you first because I know you had some facts about this as well, or points. But former star Ricky Williams has come from Sportsnet. Mike Johnson had this post. He thinks cannabis legalization in Canada is a huge step forward towards professional sports leagues like the NFL, softening their stances on athletes using marijuana therapeutically. Williams has been an advocate for legalization of marijuana, essentially served as the poster boy for athlete pot advocates during much of his NFL 11 years tenure. The NFL currently prohibits players from using marijuana and synthetic cannabinoids, even though it is now legal in Canada. It is legal in various jurisdictions in the United States. Williams did continue to say that his strongest argument to the NFL is we go out there and risk our bodies and our minds to entertain people and play the game. I think we should be given any responsibility to take care of ourselves. Now, This is a guy who was the 1998 Heisman Trophy winner. He ranks 31st in the all-time NFL in rushing yards with 10,009. And his Texans Longhorns legend stats could have been more impressive, where for the multiple suspensions that he had stemmed failing drug tests in which he tested positive for marijuana. So obviously ties in tight with his very strong stance on the legalization of marijuana. So Jamie, I'm going to go to you first and say, what is your stance on Ricky Williams, his comments, and what's your stance on the athletic end when it comes to the legalization of marijuana, how it affects?
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of surprised by how forward he was. I mean, I'm not surprised that he's a proponent for marijuana use, and from a therapeutic perspective, because I mean, with the legalization, I mean, it more impacts, like, if you have to go by the professional sports, the one that impacts the most is hockey for sure, just based on the number of Canadian markets that are in the league. But as far as the drug policy, the NFL and the NHL are similar-ish in their drug policies. I mean, if you get caught for the first time, you just have to submit to a lot more testing. It's like up to like 10 a month that you have to go to, and they give you 30 days after you test positive, and then you start your testing regularly, and you're on that list. Once you test once, you're on that list forever. It kind of sucks. So you really don't want to get caught testing. And then second time, it's a fine. Third time, it's a bigger fine. Fourth time, it's like a 4 to 6 game suspension for both leagues. And then if you keep building off that, it's kind of the Josh Gordon effect there if you get beyond that point. But I mean, sure, it's a step, I guess, as far as like the NFL is concerned. But you have to see. I mean, I think it was more of a step when like Colorado and Washington made that move. So,
a step in the right country. Yeah. I mean, I've got a lot of opinions on this, and I do. As far as, legalization in Canada, I don't see a lot of applications towards the NFL. It's going to be interesting to see how the CFL handles this. There it is. To see what goes on there. But I think the good to come of this and the whole players using it medicinally thing is that now there's going to be some actual real research going on. You're going to have some heavily funded real reports, stuff coming out that's like a real meat and potatoes that people can look at and say there's a benefit to this, there's not a benefit to this. And I think we can all speak to this personally, where we live in a city where over-prescribing of opioids has had a real negative impact, and we see that on a small scale here. Now, in the NFL, you can think to a large scale. I mean, look at Brett Favre. Yeah. Just look at the Brett Favre situation and how someone with millions of dollars could very easily abuse painkillers to the point where they just end up blowing their brains out or falling off their balcony. You know what I mean? And you see how that happens versus I really don't see what's wrong with a guy like Josh Gordon, whose brain is very obviously all over the place. I mean, we've all had some friends or been in a spot with mental health issues at one point in time or another. Taking some sort of chemical compound that you get at the pharmacy that makes your brain do 6,000 other backflips versus smoking a joint and just shutting off and sitting on the couch because you know that works. It's not steroids. It's not in the least bit performance enhancing. It's not. I don't know. I cannot find one performance enhancing benefit out of that aside from that you can eat more. So, unless you don't want
professional strongman,
or you're an offensive lineman, and you're trying to manage your weight, I don't really see there being an issue with it. And if players are having a positive result from it, and if the team's not having to shell out all this money for narcotics, and the players are just going and buying a bag of grass on their own, what's the issue? I mean, back to Dave's topic more so here with the Ricky Williams and saying it's a step forward for leagues and research into pain management. It is an opportunity for these teams to look into the scientific end of it, like I said, with the reports and studies going on. But I do think where he's going is good for all professional sports to get away from just the narcotics. Look at some sort of alternative medicines and stop saying, categorizing everything as an illegal or performance-enhancing drug. Because this is totally different than what you're even getting out of the bottom of your shaker cup, and failing a test by 6/1,000,000th of a percentile. I don't see an issue with it. I think the only positives can come out of this, and I think cost savings for professional sports leagues across the board.
Jamie, over to you with your thoughts about it quickly before we go to our next topic. Going over the 10-minute mark as predicted.
I'm not shocked, but yeah, no. The number one, the big thing that I was kind of waiting on was the opioid thing, right? And how easy it is to get addicted to opioids, and you more so see it from retired players and guys that have left the league, right? Because they're dealing with pain management as you get older. And I mean, most professional athletes understand the risks, right? It's kind of why you get paid so much money. It's part of that, right? Because long term, I mean, if you play a contact sport, even if you play a non-contact sport, it's still hard on your joints, right? You're a high-level athlete. You're competing at the peak of the world. But why shouldn't they be able to control their pain? And you say it's non-addictive. I mean, whatever. But it's not. So far, doctors are looking into it. We got to wait for more studies. I mean, so from that perspective, it's a step for sure. But the painkiller thing with the opioids it's huge. And that's the number one thing for all these ex-players that are coming out and talking about, like, pain, how they manage their pain with marijuana. And I haven't seen a bad case so far. Whereas you see bad cases with opioids, everything else.
It's scary to the general population right now because it's an unknown. But what we do know is that what they're currently doing right now isn't working either. So, we kind of have this door half opened. So why not open it all the way and see what it has what we can do with it? Because right now people are still killing themselves or overdosing or, you know what I mean? We haven't had a lot of positive results out of this. There's a short-term benefit for the players and the teams as far as money-making goes, but the long-term benefits, there isn't any. The team still continues to make money and tosses the players aside. They don't need you anymore. You're like an old shirt. And that's the running back position is probably the most... yesterday's news, it's like buying a cell phone.
Yeah.
As soon as you have a new cell phone, it's old. That's running backs in the NFL. So
one season sometimes.
I'll stay with Ricky to kind of conclude the topic. Is a lot of fascinating things this article that brought up where, he had his first ulcer from taking too many Advil, dealing with the pain of playing in football in college. Then he explained when he got to the NFL, he was still having issues with pharmaceuticals, where he began to where he had to do over like 500 tests just for his drug testing in the National Football League because of his mark, right? That he had in the National Football League. And, it comes to that cannabis use and the mental health stigma that you guys touch on, and it came with talking about he also thinking that he allows players to benefit from the use of various cannabinoids, could be actually save the NFL teams money in the long run, and a lot of very interesting points. And he saved the teams I played for a lot of money. It was I didn't spend much time in the training room. I didn't spend much time taking pills from the doctor. Through my yoga practice, my meditation practice, and occasionally using cannabis, I was able to take care of myself and deal with pain. So a lot of good things. And he really thinks that big message at the end was rather there were herbal formulas, massage, chiropractic, acupuncture, etc. My experience of taking care of myself in natural ways really inspired me. And so when I thought about doing something in the industry, I did, because now he's the VP of wellness, of Wheel Wellness. That's a very high end when it comes to dealing with the marijuana usage. So he also continued to say, more people are open to herbal remedies. People are more open to medicinal marijuana. So why not create more formulas that incorporate THC, CBD, and the other cannabinoids to give people alternatives to pharmaceuticals. So very strong stance from Ricky Williams, and not saying that weed's great to do, just go ahead and do it and smoke it all the time. And no. With it, but it's definitely a better substitute, I feel, than some drugs that are available. And as long as it's handled the correct way, I don't think it's a bad thing that's legalized. And when it comes to the sporting industry, I don't think it should be something that should be really harped upon, as long as you follow the laws of your team's, country's, province, or state. In Canada, John Tavares, for example, in hockey, won't smoke weed. He's in Canada. When he comes over the States, though, it's a different story. He can't have it on him. It's the same thing when it comes to us for traveling. Same thing with football. Yeah, there's a lot of effects that I think that are going to have to be amended a lot down the road. But I don't think there's NHL players that have desires to smoke weed currently right now anyway. It's different. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. I'm not speaking that when it comes. It is, right? That NFL, baseball, whatever it may be, but having it on.
is that, like, the whole, I mean, we're on a time limit here, so I think we could probably touch on this a couple times. It's a couple shows about this. But, nah, we'll save it for another show. That's
What a tease.
The pain thing, though, I couldn't agree more. But they're gonna have to amend a lot of policies in the leagues. That's a few years away, I think, though. But moving on, fellows, the last topic we're going to touch on tonight's show before we go, and I appreciate Scott Nason as the board op who's patiently waiting for us to wrap up, as we do have time limits, like Justin said. But you know what? Twins is only local, regional, national sports, so we have a lot of news to cover, and especially with our Wednesday show, with a lot of topics to cover. The NBA got underway tonight, and that is with the Toronto Raptors start off their season against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Kawhi Leonard's debut, where he got 24 points, 13 rebounds, and 6 assists. Great debut. Kyle Lowry, 27 points for the Raptors, got away with a 116-104 win. LeBron James, Cleveland Cavaliers, still look decent on the court right now, staging a pretty good comeback in the later quarters, but obviously the Raptors just looking very impressive right now, and I think when it comes to the upper threshold of the Eastern Conference, you got, the Raptors, you got the Bucks, you can't forget about, and you obviously got the Boston Celtics, and you obviously got the 76ers as well. So when it comes to that, the Raptors are in a pretty good spot. Though I think they showed very impressive tonight. And Jamie, I know we were recording the show while the game was on. We're able to watch as we can go, sort of thing. But the Raptors, having even Valanciunas looked good tonight, which doesn't come out of my mouth too often. A lot of the guys really chipped in. I think that's what really defines this Raptors team is youth, depth, and I think Kawhi Leonard, as Justin touched on McCowan's show today, he said that Kawhi Leonard did purchase real estate in Toronto. So you know what? Early optimism to start game one though of the season. But you know what? They showed pretty good on the court today.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to start off with a win. Nick Nurse's tenure starts at 1-0. We never knew how that was going to go. We were kind of watching the game. I mean, they played pretty steady. I mean, still giving up over 100 to LeBron James Cleveland Cavaliers team. You're never sure about that. But Kawhi looked steady. I mean, Toronto's bench looked good. They maintained a little bit. They're deep, right? That's the strength of that Toronto team, is you can put Lowry on the bench and bring in Van Vliet, and you got like Miles. You got guys coming off the bench that can produce and can score, and there's not that big of a drop-off, and you have good defenders coming off the bench too, so that helps.
one of the things I noticed. I mean, everyone knows that my basketball knowledge is vast.
As thin as your hairline.
Yeah, it's thinner than the Leafs goaltending depth and my hairline. But one of the things I've noticed with the Raptors, I mean, just early watching a little bit of preseason, it seems that guys on the roster can fit any spot. There's not, no one plays a specific position only. You know what I mean? There's not, everyone just wants to play and succeed. Like, you know, there's guys, you're obviously not going to put Kawhi wherever, and it's, yeah, there's guys that have positions, but the bench, everyone seems very adaptable. It's a Swiss Army knife there.
The Bucks with a convincing win tonight. You had the Magic getting a win over the Heat. The Pistons starting the year off, which would definitely give credit to the Pistons. I have praise for the Pistons, even having Dwayne Casey at the helm there. I think they're going to have a very good year with getting 3 points up on the Nets to get a win. You know, you had the Pacers convincing win today, 111-83 over the Grizzlies. The Pacers are looking decent in the East. Wide open East, they'd say, but teams like the Raptors, Celtics, and Sixers are teams that are superior in the Eastern Conference. Other than that, it seems like fair game. But definitely keep an eye on the Pistons. But one game that a lot of Raptors fans would be interested to talk about is the San Antonio Spurs and the Minnesota Timberwolves. DeMar DeRozan got 28 points. Yeah, Jimmy Butler got 23 points in that game. DeMar DeRozan got 28 points in his debut with the Spurs. Jakob Poeltl had over just about a handful of points as well for the Spurs. So as games continue on, while we're sitting here between the Jazz and Kings, Mavs, Suns, and Clippers and Nuggets, there's the Pelicans had a 131-112 big convincing win over the Houston Rockets. Rockets being one of the favorites to potentially come out of the West. Pelicans looked pretty good tonight, but again, it is only game one. The NBA season is tipped underway, and the Raptors start off with a convincing 1-0 start. So obviously we invade this topic, talk about the Raptors, but one thing I'm going to go on the table quick with, fellas, before we wrap on. Besides the Raptors, what other things are you excited for in the National Basketball Association this year?
What a way to National Basketball Association. You went hard there. Yeah, I'm kind of curious to see what the Pistons do. I think they're going to be like somewhere between that 4 and 6 seed in the East. And I'm like you touched on it, like the Timberwolves, man. I mean, what a disaster right now. Jimmy Butler, the fans don't like him, and he's already said to the media, he said, I don't care if they boo me. He's like, I feed off that. He's like, I'm gonna put up points. I'm gonna play for my NBA career no matter what's going on. But I'll tell you one thing I'm not looking forward to is Golden State winning another NBA championship. I mean, if you live in the Bay Area, you love it, but like we saw last year, I mean, when they lose a game at home, the fans don't know what to do. They're not used to it. They're not used to seeing Steph Curry actually playing with 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter. They're not used to that. So, I mean, like we say, the NBA has probably the least amount of parity in the league. There's the least amount of turnover. It's pretty steady. I mean, I'm curious to see what the Lakers can do.
Even the Knicks had a convincing win.
Yeah, the Knicks played pretty good, and with Porzingis back, I mean, they got some pieces. Yeah. Hopefully, he can stay healthy. The league's always, no matter what sports league it is, you never want to see superstars go down, right? Especially, and we talk about the NFL mostly, right? And last year, right? How many injuries happened in the NFL last year that really derailed seasons? But you want to see these guys play well, and I mean, I don't watch a ton of NBA during the regular season. I watch it when it's on, mostly the Raptors. I'll catch a Pistons game every once in a while, but I'm curious to see how Nick Nurse carries this team moving forward, right? And we're all waiting with bated breath to see if Kawhi can buy in and what happens there.
Looks pretty solid tonight. Justin, some final thoughts with the NBA in terms of what you're looking forward to this season before we conclude tonight's show here at Sportscenter Bar and Grill.
You know what? I'm, again, everyone knows my basketball knowledge here, but I'm excited to see what's going to go on in the East. I mean, it kind of seems wide open, and we all kind of know how the West is going to shake out. Whatever. We'll mumble that off.
Only difference is LA makes the playoffs.
Yeah. But the East seems like it's wide open. The Celtics are good. The Cavs seem competitive tonight without LeBron. The Raptors look convincing. It's only game one. It's only game one. But, it's just exciting to see that there's something to play for in the East again.
Which is nice.
Which is nice. I mean,
LeBron, and that makes it more exciting.
So, we'll see. The East is worth watching. The West is going to be what it's going to be. I'll touch base with them again in April.
There it is.
LeBron James makes his debut tomorrow in Portland. 10:30 p.m. tip-off in Portland. Now that'll be a game that will definitely be watched. Bulls play 76ers at 8. Definitely. And the Heat play the Wizards tomorrow as well. Just 3 games in the NBA. The Raptors aren't back in action until Friday, and they have a big game at 8 p.m. against the Boston Celtics. That's the game. Those are games you got to make sure you highlight on your calendar for this season. Fellas, that's going to wrap it up for our variety talk here on the Wednesday edition of the Game Sports Show at SportsCenter. We've had an action-packed show with In the Pocket. A little bit over time, as we usually do, but hey, that's the way we do it here on the Game Sports Show. We like to keep in touch on everything we possibly could to make sure we follow the show's agenda. Tomorrow, myself, Justin, and hopefully Brad Cochimilio will be on location at Northern Spirit Brewing Company. Brad has a little bit of an asterisk beside his name right now just based on his availability right now with the Hound game being tonight. But Justin and I will be there by 4:30, 4:45 tomorrow for a quick 45-minute, not even hour edition of Northern Superior Brewery edition of the Game Sports Show. We'll be back Monday at the Wicked Sister, and then Wednesday next week we're back here at SportsCenter again at 9 p.m. following Northern Superior Brewing Company edition being at 7:30 next week. And we will be covering, a lot of the Hounds and Thunderbird games on location as well, so keep an eye on those bonus uploads. And also the new restaurant coming up at John Rhodes Community Center. They're going to be carrying a beer called the Game Ale, and they're also going to be opening very soon in the next couple weeks as well. So when you're at the Thunderbirds game or any hockey games, hopefully you can enjoy some good hockey at the John Rhodes again from sitting at the comfort of the upstairs if you're unable to sit downstairs. So fellas, I'm going to say goodbye to you guys. Going to you first. Justin, I will see you tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll see you in 14, 15 hours?
About that. And then you're going to go to a stag after that and get absolutely blacked out, sloshed. Jamie, good seeing you, pal.
Yeah, man. Happy to be here. I'll see you next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday, and be ready to lose first place in the Pick'em League as well. And watch as the Ben's Dating Service fantasy football team moves up in the standings in the Sports Center edition of our Fantasy Football Wednesday. I've named my team Ben's Day in his service.
My other team is named the Sandusky Surprise.
Oh my god, that is hilarious. We have to talk about some NCAA sometime on here because NCAA was very exciting to talk about with Mr. Annett today. Tom, I want to say thank you again to Tom for coming on by, and again to the beautiful Alicia White and the Sportscenter Bar and Grill.
Easy.
And again to Scott Nason for coming by, and to you, the listeners, for making us a part of your night tonight. And like I said, we'll be at Northern Superior Brewing Company tomorrow, myself and Justin, hopefully Brad as well. And make sure for next week, Dane Hancho's going to make a special edition recording as well. We'll hear Dane's voice as we get warmed up to hear his voice as he comes home very shortly as well. So going to the concluding portion. Keep your stick on the ice, swing your bat, catch your touchdown, drain your threes, and shoot your shots. Booyah.